Good evening, and welcome to the Town Council meeting of Monday, March 13th, 2023. It's now 7 p.m. here in the McKinnon Council Chambers. Relative to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, and for the benefit of the public, this meeting is being recorded by both video and audio methods. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have Max filling in this evening. Roll call.
Councilor Adams.
Present.
Councilor Daniel.
Present.
Councilor Dow. Councilor Lazo.
Present.
Councilor Marchetti.
Present.
Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
Present.
Councilor Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Steve. Present. 9 present.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. Item number 3, consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, February 27th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Steve, second by Councilor Ryan. Any discussion? Councilor Steves.
Just one minor thing. On number 7, I believe that the way the discussion is phrased, Councilor Rivas actually wasn't expressing support for the project, but more for the needs that were being expressed by the project. Because that was the Bridge of Faith project. And that's all I had for this one.
Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. I'm a little confused on lines 177 and 183. If you first take a look at 163, it talks about how the motion to postpone failed 4-4, which was true, and then the original motion failed 2 in favor, 6 opposed. That's on 177. Then again on 183, it just says the motion to postpone passed 6-2. I'm just not
Mr. Chairman, those minutes were from the last meeting.
That's from the last.
Oh, okay.
They
My
do need to be
mistake.
corrected, but that's a different issue.
Yeah, because I think that's incorrect too, but I guess I'm looking at the prior meeting
was
minutes.
prior meeting.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Anything else on the 27th? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Okay. Agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports. Department of Public Works, Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. We had a meeting on March 8th, 2023, and we had several items on to speak about. We have a construction inspector position, but that agenda was withdrawn. We voted on an intermunicipal sewer agreement with Southbridge. That's agenda item number 14 tonight. We also discussed road conditions, Ellis Road, Dresser Hill Road, Gulpwood Road, trench regulations, and lights and crosswalks in the downtown area. There's no meeting scheduled, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Education and Human Services, Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. We have no meeting scheduled at this time, just at the moment waiting for budget meetings to start. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. General Government, Councilor Steves.
We had a meeting on, was it the 8th, I think it was? I think it was on the 8th. And we have items 10, 29, 30, 31, and 32 on tonight's agenda, so I'll address it then. I do not have anything scheduled at the moment.
Very good. Thank you. Planning and Development, Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a meeting in the month of March, agenda item numbers 15 through 28 on tonight's agenda. We do not have one scheduled for this month as of right now. ARPA, we did have our ARPA, we had a meeting on the 6th. I'm sorry. We also had an ARPA meeting. Some of the agenda items are on here this evening. And on this Thursday, we have a Town Manager's Search Committee meeting. Thank you.
Very good. Protection of persons and property, Council Lazo.
We have no report at this time. We will be scheduling a meeting. We have a couple items coming up. Thank you.
Very good. Chairman's announcements. I'd like to notify the council that I will be away. I'll be out of state until Tuesday, the 21st. Very good. Town manager's announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to announce that the town hall will be closed tomorrow, Tuesday, March 14th, due to the expected severity of the storm, with heavy snow and high winds predicted during the late morning and into the evening. The next item is that we have been working on the FY24 budget. The governor's initial local aid estimates have been received. We've got information from Bay Path on their assessment. We're talking to the Southbridge schools for their assessment as well. We've started meetings with department heads today to review the proposed budgets, and those will continue on Wednesday and Thursday and next Monday. So I just want to report that we are moving forward in preparation of the budget. The next item I have is that request for proposals for both the town manager search consultant and for curbside trash and recycling collection are due on Thursday, March 16th. So those hopefully will get some good proposals. The last thing I have is more of a general thing for the community. In the years following its launch, the American Optical 1921 lensometer transformed the optical industry by providing quick and accurate lens measurements. As a result, the dispensing process became more accurate and the pathway for more advanced lens design was established. On Saturday, March 25th, the AO 1921 lensometer will be designated by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME, as an historic mechanical engineering landmark at the Optical Heritage Museum here in Southbridge. ASME's landmark designation is granted to artifacts that represent a significant step forward in the evolution of mechanical engineering. And I'm happy to report that I am a member of the ASME. I've been a member since I was a student at WPI in mechanical engineering, and so I'm very happy to be able to report this information. Nearly 250 of these historic mechanical engineering landmarks have been designated since this program was begun by the ASME in 1971. Throughout the years, American Optical has had a strong heritage in precision measurement and was a pioneer in precise vision solutions for patients. Today, Zeiss continues that commitment, and the achievements of AO and Zeiss underpin the capabilities of today's optical industry.
Very good. Looking forward to that presentation on the 28th. Presentations, item number 7. I'm sorry, are you finished?
I am finished.
Oh, okay. Presentations, item number 7. Mr. Karen, Mark Karen.
Good evening. It's good to be with you. There's a new face on the dais. You look familiar? Hi, Charlie. Nice to see you. And for the purposes of your coming, I just wanted to kind of go over. There haven't been a lot of changes over the last month as far as vacancies and fillings. But for the purpose of just bringing people up to speed, we had started out with a baseline of 61 vacancies in the identified area, downtown core, and we report now a reduction in those vacancies down to 54. So we're at a plus 7, if you will, in occupancies. In that regard, in what I reported last time we met, in some of those fillings, were people just getting ready to go in. I think if any of the councilors or any of the public has walked up and down Hamilton Street, you'll notice that there's some improvements going on and right by what used to be the Books and Beans in those 2 retail spaces. And that is almost readied, probably within the next week, week and a half. And that is the spot, the retail spot for the high-end furniture refinishing retail outlet. It's an outpouring of a grant, a program that we were successful in receiving along in partner with, and they led it, Centros Inc., Centros Las Americas, and it's called Restoring Future. So there are some individuals who are looking to regain their place in the community. Some of them are re-entering from some times that they're probably not so proud of, but find themselves at a great entry part to kind of redirect their lives. And so that furniture retail is coming up. And that has been met with some wonderful reception from the neighbors, both on that side of the street and across the street. Just happened to get off the phone with one of the other property owners, and they're just encouraged to see, some positive occupancies happening and some activity, so that part is going on. We are in the middle right now of helping out a couple of neighbors who right now take up office occupancy in Sturbridge. They find themselves without a home, and we're looking to have them establish here. One of them is the Chamber of Commerce. The building that they're in has had a decision by their owners to actually to raise it, I guess. And so they've been given a couple months, and I am sure we can offer them some options. And so I've been talking with them, and there are a couple interested landlords who would like to entertain the idea of having them occupy the space. And I think for us, we would love to have them back in Southbridge, where I think they rightfully belong and never should have left. That may be held by a few towns who they represent, but I do think we're the economic center. So I'm happy to report that. And then there's another media agency that is kind of a building colleague of theirs, and I figured, well, we're looking for one, we might as well look for both. I did report last time out that we were selected to be a tour destination or a tour destination for the National Convention of America Downtown, Main Streets America. Unfortunately, because of lack of participation, there were like 5 that had opted on for our particular tour, and they did scratch it. So they've accompanied that, and there was a greater attraction to the city of Worcester. I don't know, I thought our offering was much better, it was written up better than theirs, but Worcester has a lure right now that we don't enjoy. So it's my intention to, if I can redo my schedule, I may actually participate in that conference out in Boston, and let people know what they missed, hopefully. Into the chairman's announcement just recently, I mean, there is a substantial tour coming through town, and I do think the town council is apprised of it, and we're doing some things to bring some attention to it, as it rightfully should be. And I'm reaching out also. Hopefully we can complement the town's effort in the recognition of the efforts that are down there at the museum. We had a follow-up meeting. I reported that I had gone out to view the Worcester Food Hub, and it met with some interest from a couple of councilors. They actually, subsequently, there was a second meeting, and they actually came out here, and we toured a couple of our own facilities, the Armory and the school, the old high school, along with some private properties. And there's some considerable interest and some energy, and there's some opportunity. And so we're going to continue those conversations. And if there's an option, and if there's a will and a willingness, there may be an opportunity for us to partner in and have a second, or they're actually working with a couple other cities, but we may be an additional offering for that as we are looking to build our hospitality offerings, restaurant facilities, cooking skills, and commercial kitchens for those who aren't ready for bricks and mortar, but to get their product to the public is going to be necessary, and I think there is considerable opportunities for us there. And then lastly, in the area of perception shift, I had made mention that there was going to be an effort to get some personal profiles in our digital media area. We just finished up on a questionnaire that's been agreed upon, and I have 2 people who are agree to be initial interviewees, and they're Southbridge products, and I think the public, once they get reintroduced to them and where they are now, will get a sense of an idea of, geez, really, this is what you're doing, and where did you come from? That's right out of here and through our education system, just to make sure that people kind of put us and put the offerings here in its proper perspective. So that's about what I have, and I think if betting is, I told the guys in the audience that betting is now legal in Massachusetts. You should take the under on the 5 minutes. I think I might have made it, so that would have been a safe bet. If I might, I'm sorry, I'd be remiss. Now they're going to lose their bet. In light of, you can't miss everybody's talking about the default of SVB. I would just like to kind of remind people, they may not be the flash and the glamour of the big banks, but your local banks and the 3 institutions that we have here are stable, they're safe, and they're boring. But you know, when you make your deposit, you'll be able to withdraw it without anxiety. And the same thing happens with some of our food sources. So I would say that in this environment of question. With a lot of inflation, a lot of supply chain issues and anxieties, we'd be wise to start looking at ourselves here and the stability we can offer ourselves with a little bit of effort. Thank you.
Very good. Thank
Thanks.
you, Council. Council Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. You said earlier that you had an increase of about 7 occupancies downtown. Could you tell me what they are?
Yeah, I gave the overview last meeting, and that's fine. I'm happy to do it. I'm going off memory. But it's the old Billis's. It is the 2 retail spots that I just mentioned with the furniture. The other one was Chicken Fried, CFC, on Central Street. I do take credit. We take credit. We should all take credit, because they're here, for Central Pizza and his investment there. And forgive me, there's another one, and it's escaping. Oh, the music lessons down on the back of Hamilton Street, but in the Central Street parking lot. It's actually a teacher from Southbridge High who does this on after school hours, and they're there.
And is there any movement at all about that vacant lot downtown that was destroyed in a fire? There's anything going on with that?
Forgive me, Counselor, which?
The one that burnt down, the building in the middle of town?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I didn't see
yes.
Peg back there. I
No.
can hear her.
Well, there is, and actually correct. So now you'll understand this. It's the panel's time that is, never mind. Yes, the infrastructure and some utilities have actually been laid there over the last, since I met you last. And there's coordination between the McCarthys and the property owners of the vacant space, yes. Yes. I might also, and I'd be remiss, it's not in the downtown core, but we do all feed off other sections of town. Nothing stands alone. Considerable interest after it was a showing of downtown and the properties that may be available to an investor group that lent them to be just surprised down to Sacred Heart. They saw it, loved it, and they have taken two trips here, and I've entertained them, and the current owner has been gracious enough to let the tour go through their buildings. I don't know where it's going to go, but there's considerable interest in that campus. So I just want to bring that. Some of these things and the efforts out here kind of lend out into other areas, and as we improve other areas, it'll feed into the downtown too. But the conversations are starting, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and our financial institutions are starting to educate themselves into opportunity zone funds and in lending through those funds and what happens in the areas so designated. You were all wise enough at some point to designate some areas as opportunity zones. We hadn't done much with that tool, and we are coming up to speed now, and investors are actually now searching for those areas outright, because it seems to be if they're going to invest in this climate, they're going to have to take advantage of every tool that's afforded to them. And these areas, so designated, allow them a greater extension of surety or return on investment on their monies. Thanks.
And what about the banks downtown, the ones that are empty right now?
Santander is actually being worked on, has been claimed by Cornerstone. And there is, conceptually, there are plans for that building. There are plans for that building, so that is not going to be empty long.
Okay. And the credit union?
The credit union building is being worked on ongoingly, and we're happy there's a engaged and excited investor there, and that has just changed hands. So they're talking about restaurant offerings, offices, and potentially some residential renting.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm all set.
Great, thank you. Council Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two quick things. One is that I definitely appreciated your last comment about the need to focus, especially with the economics going south, need to focus locally, because we are going to be the only ones who can support ourselves when the stuff hits the fan, unfortunately.
Hits the fan, yeah.
Very well. And the other point is, I was curious, are any of the investors that you're talking to raising concerns about our sidewalks, given the long discussion that we had at P&D the other day about doing the MassWorks grant for sidewalks?
They haven't brought it up,
They have not.
and I didn't offer it, so. But it doesn't seem to be a hindrance right now.
That's
But
good.
all our efforts and the information, the most visual public spending is in the Hamilton Street WeWork that
Right.
we're going through,
Right.
and the rail trail.
Right.
Those two, I mean, the rail trail, I just can't tell you, the excitement that comes, really? And there's a lot of people who are familiar with the Hudson example and that case study, and they're excited that we're going to be similarly positioned with those tools and amenities
That's good.
to offer. Yeah.
Good to know.
It's a changing environment. Some of the investors that I thought, well, they have been interested, but again, the economic environment is changing, and there is a kind of a holding back pattern, a wait and see
Right.
for some of that. Some of them are in the middle of, they have to do something with some capital gains, and so the environment's not going to matter, except they just have to expend and make a decision soon. The others who can afford some time are like sitting back a little bit, and I'm not so sure I could blame them, but
No, me neither.
that is the position, and we'll just continue to talk through any environment.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8, citizens forum. Is there anyone that would like to approach the podium and speak on an issue not on tonight's agenda?
Richard Palone, 227 Marcy Street.
Thank you.
The February 13th meeting, you postponed agenda items 12, 13, and 14 till this evening, and I didn't see them on the agenda.
At the request of the DPW director, those items are being withheld at this time. He wishes more time to examine the department and make some decisions in the future about what would be good or according to his feelings.
All right, thank you.
Maureen Doyle, 771 Lebanon Hill Road. Sorry, I was like distracted by, I thought Mark made a great speech about our need for local. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. I want to say something. So I just want to remind people that the deadline for Chapter 61 is June 30th. It's a great way to get a tax break for land conservation. And I'm reminding people now, because it does take a little while to get all the paperwork and stuff. But there are a couple of webinars on the masswoods.org site, masswoods.org. Like, what are the financial benefits of land conservation? There's some upcoming live webinars on 3/22 and 3/29 about conservation tools, but they have an archive of their past ones, which might be interesting to people. So once again, the deadline to sign up or renew your plan for Chapter 61, 61A, or 61B is June 30th. So find out how you can get a tax break for land conservation. Thank you.
Point of order from the citizens.
We couldn't hear what you said. We couldn't hear what you were saying. October 1st is the deadline. Very good. Okay. Very good. Anyone else? Very good. Item number 9. Vote to approve the town manager's recommendation to appoint Lane Wandelier to the Liquor Licensing Board as an alternate effective immediately through June 30, 2026, pending successful completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. First of all, I appreciate Mr. Wandelier for coming back up here, volunteering his time as he did back in, was it 98 through 2002, and probably a few other things that he's done in between time. Fact is, the alternate for the liquor board has been needed for quite some time, and, you know, during public hearings, if something is not going well or you don't have that extra individual there, it kind of hurts the whole process. It stalls everything. So I do appreciate him volunteering his time. The board had recommended unanimously to bring it up to the town council in favor of, and I want to thank you. I want to thank Councilor Dow for bringing him to my attention and moving it forward as fast as we did. Thank you.
Very good. Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. Yeah, I've known Mr. Wandelaire for almost 30 years since I was a little kid. I grew up with his kids, and he's put in a lot of time to this town, coming back to give back, much like Councilor Adams said, is great. And on here, I believe he put in his interest form 32 years of retail management experience. I mean, that's someone who knows what's going on in the retail business, which is what the liquor board is all about. So I'm going to support this. I think it's a great thing to continue to see citizens stepping up to fill some of these vacancies.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilor Lazo.
I can sing the kudos, but tonight I have to abstain. I'm a pub owner in town, and just under the appearance of conflict of interest, I'm going to abstain. But he's a fine gentleman, and we'll qualify. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Wandelier, would you like to say anything to the council?
Thank you all. I hope this vote is a positive vote, of course, and I look forward to serving the town again. It was a interesting time when I was on the council, and it always is, and I appreciate the fact that everybody who comes up here spends their time serving the town, because these jobs aren't easy.
No,
they're difficult, and they take a lot of time. So I want to thank all of you folks for what you do, and I promise to do a good job. Thank you all.
Very good. Very good. Councilor Steves.
Yeah, one quick question for Mr. Wandelaire. Just wanted to bounce, you mentioned at the P&D meeting that you are in the process of seeking a liquor license in Sturbridge.
No.
You are not?
No.
You
There was a liquor license already established in Sturbridge that my family owns a property.
Oh, you already do?
Yes.
Okay. You do own it. Okay.
I'm not, my name isn't on any of that.
Okay, so your family owns the property, but you don't own the liquor license?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is that considered a conflict? Have you contacted the, I personally, if I were in that situation, I would contact the Ethics Commission myself, but up to you.
I won't.
Okay,
Very good.
just curious.
It's okay.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? We have 7 for, 0 against, 2 abstentions. Councilors Dow and Lazo abstain.
Thank you all very much. I
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Item number 10, vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Lene Creatia as treasurer-collector for an indefinite term effective immediately pending successful completion of pre-employment physical and background screening and state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Steves, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Steves.
We recommended that unanimously at GenGov, and I just wanted to comment that I recall working with her periodically, especially during the Charlton hearings surrounding the which hearings were those? Among them, I think among them were the natural gas hearings and some of the other stuff that was going on, and she was always professional in dealing with her up there. So I know that's not exactly what she's looking to apply for this particular job, but I know that as dealing with her in a town capacity was good. So.
Very good. Mr. Manager, would you like to address?
Yes, I'd like to ask the town council to confirm my appointment of Lene Creatia to the position of collector treasurer. She began her financial career in Brookfield as the town treasurer, moved on to the town of Stowe as the assistant collector treasurer, and I believe she's ready now to take on the challenge here in Southbridge as our treasurer collector. I think Lanny is here, and I don't know if Adriana has anything she'd like to add, but leave it up to you.
If you'd like to add something? No? Okay, very good. Council Marquetti.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, could you tell me what the salary is for this position?
The salary will be $93,460.71.
So I looked at this person's resume, and she does have quite a lot of experience in accounting. She doesn't have any college degrees that I could see, but that doesn't mean she's not qualified. A lot of times people are qualified beyond their college education. I just was wondering what it is that you saw in this person that you felt that you'd like to appoint her.
Sure, thank you. I think it's her experience, the work she's done. The collector treasurers have a series of courses, and they also have a program where you can become certified. And, you know, she is, I believe, qualified to take the test. Now, it is a difficult test. There's no guarantee that anyone passes it the first time, but she is qualified to take this test in August. She would be taking the test as an assistant collector treasurer, but when she becomes actually the person who is the collector treasurer, it's the same certification and the same test. You don't have to take a separate test. So I'm very encouraged with the fact that she has pursued that certification and is in the process of being able to take that test to become certified.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Very good. Council Lazo.
I would just like to say that it's an impressive resume. I think that in every resume that I always look at, experience usually trumps a lot of things, such as the high degrees that you try to look for, and then when you hire them, they move on so quickly. I think this here is an investment for the town of Southbridge. I think she's going to be a good fit. I think I would like to thank Noor for finding her, and I think that moving forward, the only question I have, is she going to be the finance director also?
Not at this current time. In other words, that is a position that can be appointed as a stipend position in any of those positions. But I believe with our town accountant just taking over the position and Lonnie coming in at this position, we're not ready certainly to appoint anyone in that position as finance director. My proposal would be, if the council feels that we need to have one, that I would take that as an interim basis while I'm here to perform the functions of the finance director.
Because the charter is got specific duties for the interim, so I was just questioning that. But I would just, in closing, congratulate you and looking forward to supporting you in your office. I would would like to outreach to say thank you to the interim person that was there. I don't have her name.
Joanne Savanack, and Joanne is going to stay on a little bit more to be helping in the transition.
She has been fantastic during the absence of the position, the vacancy, so I'd just like to thank her and looking forward to working with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Ms. Creatia, would you like to address the council?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lonnie Creatia. Thank you for this opportunity this evening.
Okay. Very good.
Do you have any questions?
Okay, no?
Not a question.
Okay. Councilor Rivas?
Thank you for joining us. I just wanted to add that in our subcommittee meeting that the interim tax collector, Joanne?
Joanne, yes.
Joanne kind of reviewed with us, why she was recommending Lonnie and her qualifications, and I feel confident in, approving and voting yes. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Very well. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Very good. Congratulations. Item number 11, vote to accept the revised job description for Senior Public Works Foreman.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Marquetti, I believe you originally spoke on this?
This was postponed.
Right.
This was not postponed, actually. My question is, why is this on tonight's agenda? Because it was not postponed, it was voted down.
Okay, the question is whether the agenda item number 11 is proper. After reviewing Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, the chair found the following. Section 912 states in part, any business within the authority of the board can be transacted in any regular meeting, provided that the parliamentary rules related to the action already taken are complied with. Section 38(1) states in part, if a motion is made and disposed of without being adopted and is later allowed to come before the assembly after being made again by any member in essentially the same connection, the motion is said to be renewed. Section 38(3) states in part, the motion cannot be renewed in the same session. Section 8.4 states in part, in a permanent society whose bylaws provide for regular meetings that go through an established order of business in a single evening, each meeting of this kind normally completes a separate session. The agenda item was first discussed at a meeting on February 13th, there was a meeting on February 27th, and now we meet on March 13th, which is 2 meetings later. Section 38(8) states in part, a main motion that was introduced but not adopted during one session can be renewed at any later session unless it has become absurd. Merriam-Webster defines absurd as ridiculously unreasonable, unsound, or extremely silly or ridiculous, none of which the chair believes apply to this agenda item. The chair therefore rules that the motion is not absurd and is properly placed in the agenda for tonight's meeting and be moved and seconded and voted on accordingly.
Okay, but if you recall at the meeting, we tried to refer this, and the councilors didn't want to do it.
That is true.
And we tried to postpone it. Councilors didn't want to do that. So you don't want to postpone it to the next meeting, but you want to bring it up to the next meeting? To me, I feel that's just really unfair to those of us who, to the whole council who voted it down. Now, maybe you have a legal right to do it, but it seems to me you don't want to abide by the vote that was taken that night. And so now you want to try and resort to this method to reverse the decision that this council took on February 13th. So, I mean, if that's your ruling, that's your ruling. So then I would also like to make a comment about this agenda item as it stands then.
Okay, I'd just like to address what you said for a second.
All right?
I appreciate your sentiment. However, I believe that in the public interest and in the fact that the DPW director was by the sense of the council offered the opportunity to review what was coming before the council, we should in fact take a look at what he does or does not recommend. And that was my logic behind it. There's no other reason except to give the gentleman an opportunity to run his department.
But, okay, but we knew that night, but we still voted it down. And that's my only concern is that we voted it down because you didn't want to postpone it, and then you bring it back anyway. So I would like to speak about the position itself. To me, in my opinion, this is being created for one person. Now, I did talk to this person who says he is going to go to Sturbridge if he does not get this position. And traditionally, employers don't cater to employees who shop around for a better paying job in order to get a raise for themselves. So that's why I won't be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
A motion to be renewed is very common. It's not rocket science, parliamentary procedures, black and white. There are different ways of doing it. Reconsideration in the same session, but a renew can't come up in the same section. So talking about procedural, it's in line. As far as talking about the gentleman shopping for a job, that's a bold-faced lie. The gentleman is not looking for a job. I know for a fact, I've seen some texts that in the early stages on what happened. I, again, give the DPW director the opportunity to come forward on what he thinks would be the best management structure to his department. Okay, Going forward, everybody wanted to postpone it. I was not here on this agenda item, okay? I didn't vote on postponement or not against it.
The audience will please refrain from making comments.
I left the meeting, and the gentleman, I voted to postpone the other ones so he could review them and come back with whatever he thought was a better thing, and also provide a cooling period. So the department head, I went along with it, and if the department head thinks that this is in line and the chairman has ruled, then it will come forward. But this gentleman is not looking for a job, trust me. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to respond to that. He called me a liar.
It's a bold-faced lie, the statement, not you.
I would still like to respond.
Gentlemen, we're not going to get into this back and forth. Councilor Steves.
First off, I would like to see is Mr. Benoit here, so we can get his response to this particular issue, and specifically why, because we did vote to postpone 2 of these items, shot the one down, this particular item, and then postpone 3 other items, and I had originally tried to postpone all 6 of them. I think I would love to hear what if he's here, I would love to hear what his thoughts are on this particular decision, why we put these ones on the agenda versus the other 3. Oh, you are here, cool. Thank you, Rich.
Unfortunately, I'm going to refrain from offering my comments at this time. I made my suggestion to the town manager Friday through an email. If he's willing to share that with you, he can feel free to do so, but I'm not going to sit here and get in the middle of another pissing match between your committee. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well, the DPW director brought the recommendation to me to promote Mr. Ethia to be the senior public works foreman. He's happy with the job description that was presented, and I support his appointment. So I would recommend that the town council make that appointment.
Okay.
Councilor Marquetti.
I still would like to respond to Councilor Lazo's comment, because I talked to the gentleman, and he said it right to me that he was going to go to another town if we did not give him this position. So I'm not lying. That's what he said to me.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Your point, Councilor Adams.
Point is, we're talking about the individual, not the position. Thank you.
This is true.
Very good.
Good point.
Council agrees.
Good point.
Any other discussion on the agenda item, which is to accept the revised job description for senior public works foreman? Gentlemen, ladies, you will refrain from commenting. Gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, I request a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess. Meeting will be in order. Referring back again to the agenda item on the floor, vote to accept the revised job description for senior public works foreman. The motion has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Very good. Roll call, please.
Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. The motion passes. Item number 12, vote to accept the changes to Schedule 1-7 PW Supervisory and PW Schedule for Trade, Craft, and Labor positions not covered by collective bargaining agreements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Montigny, second by Councilor Ryan, I believe.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Councilor Steves.
Yeah, just to clarify, so according to the one I have electronically, the highlighted are DPW construction inspector and specialized services rate for 1/1/23. Are those the only changes that we're making now? I don't remember what our original changes were from a month ago, so
I think
are there other changes? Or is this an out-of-date version that I have?
Ms. Rabina, can you address that?
I was asking just to clarify what exactly is changing here, because the version that I have has the construction inspector highlighted and a specialized services rate of $15 an hour for 1/1/23, which I assume is
I'm
minimum
sorry,
wage.
through you, Mr. Chair, are we talking about the senior foreman position?
We're talking about the Schedule 1 changes now. It's the one after that. We're not talking about the job description anymore. We already did that one.
So I can print out the schedule and give it to you so you can see what the differences are. I think it's easier if I show it to you.
I have Schedule 1 in front of me on the computer.
So
but
it's a new grade. So you'll see there's a new grade that's been added for that position.
It's not highlighted, so.
And it's highlighted.
It's not in mine. The version I have is highlighted.
Yeah, mine.
If you could just point out,
It's not highlighted.
what grade it
It's
is.
not highlighted in ours.
So can I print it out and give you guys a copy so you can see?
Yeah, you
Takes
can
me 2
email it to me,
minutes.
it's fine, just as long as I have it.
I'll be right back.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions while we're waiting for an updated schedule? Councilor Dow.
Can we move the agenda, we'll go back to it after, by the time she come back?
That makes sense. I don't
But
know.
instead of waiting?
No, I would rather not.
Okay.
With all due respect, I would rather not.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Marquetti.
Mr. Chairman, as long as you're reading Robert's rules, do you know what Robert's rules are on postponing an agenda? Just curious if you know what they are.
I don't know what you're getting at, Councilor.
Well, I just want to know how long in advance can you postpone an agenda item?
How long in advance?
Can you postpone it for 2 meetings, for a month? I think you can only postpone it for 1 meeting.
I think you can postpone to a date certain.
Postpone it indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indefinitely is not the same as postponing it to a certain date,
No, it's not.
No, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
but you postponed it to 2 meetings.
We postponed
We
to this
postponed
meeting.
it to a date certain,
To
which
this
is March 13th.
All right, I'll just read what Robert's rules.
That's what
This
we
is the
did.
book
We
that I
postponed to a
received.
date certain.
This is
As
the book
opposed
that
to
I...
an indefinite term postponement.
Councilor Steves, do you want to let me finish?
Go ahead.
You cannot postpone a motion beyond the next regular meeting, and not beyond the 3rd month after the present month. For example, at a meeting in February, a motion can't be postponed to a meeting later than May, even if that is the next regular meeting. So that's what I'm reading. You can only postpone it 1 meeting.
Councilor Lazo.
Well, we have a free moment. I think he's correct in what he's saying. But when you have a renewed motion, which was recited by the chairman, is another way parliamentary-wise that you revive a motion that has been moved around. The parliamentary book, you can pick and choose. It's really interesting, and I used to master that book, but I no longer do that. But there are so many different maneuvers in parliamentary procedure, and it's structured for like the Congress and the Senate, and the thing is, like, there are different motions that let the vote be shown before the vote, so you can amend it to win the vote. I mean, it's really complicated, but in good faith, I think that what the chairman has done is a renewed motion can be presented back. It's a different avenue than what you're saying. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Thank you.
Very good.
So we're just going to follow Robert's rules when it suits us. All right?
While we have a second.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. As far as the renewed motion goes, maybe I will stand corrected here, but didn't the past council vote no on the West Street engineering, and then it got brought back up to the new council the same way that this past agenda item was? And as far as postponement goes, how many times did we postpone the rules and regulations? So I think that maybe if we're picking and choosing, certain councilors are picking and choosing when to bring up this conversation, when someone's at the printer.
Mr. Danamon?
Thank you.
Maybe a 5-minute break.
5-minute break. And we're back again. Item number 12, vote to approve the changes to Schedule 1-7 PW Supervisory and PW Schedule for traffic grade and labor positions not covered by collective bargaining agreements. I believe we have a motion and a second on that.
We do.
Okay. Any further discussion? Very good. Roll call.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yeah.
Councilor Adams?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Thank you very, very well. The motion passes. Item number 13, vote to approve the promotion of Glenn Ethier to the Senior Public Works Foreman position.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Montigny. Any questions?
Nancy Graff, Harwood, 561 South Street, Southbridge. This has nothing to do with Mr. Ethier. This has nothing to do with his capabilities to do his job, but I refuse to leave this building tonight under the illusion that we're going to pretend what happened just now, tonight, happened. Mr. Daniels, you represented for the first agenda item 11, you represented to the council that you renewed this item and brought it back for consideration, the revision of the job description, because it was your understanding that you based your renewal, your ability to bring the renewal back, your basis for that was that you wanted to hear from the DPW director and his recommendation, that was your understanding of the propriety of bringing it back to be renewed. The DPW director came to this podium and said, I made a recommendation, I shared it via email with the town manager. If he wants to share it, I've got nothing further to say. He then returned to his seat. 10 minutes later, he stood up, hurled some obscenities on some people at this side of the room, which I'm hesitant to say right now because I'm being filmed on public TV. Hurled some obscenities to some people on this room, the general gist of which was, I'm out of here. The whole situation, I presume. Continued down to that side of the room, pointed to the people that were standing there, his employees that were standing there, and informed them to find someone to head the department tomorrow. Walked up to one of the members of the department, put his finger right in his face, and said, and you keep your effing mouth shut, and left. So you are predicating not only your decision to bring that you've already voted on, agenda item number 11, you are predicating your decision based upon the recommendation of a man who didn't make a recommendation, or if he did so in secret via email, and who behaved in this manner. This is the word of the man that this is the recommendation you're basing your next decision on. And I don't even pretend that I'm going to change your mind about that. I don't even pretend that. But I'd certainly like you to acknowledge that.
At this point, we have an agenda item on the floor. It will be voted on.
I thought so.
Any other discussion? Mr. Manager.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I made the recommendation, based on what the DPW director, who was the DPW director as of this evening, said to me. But beyond that, my recollection and understanding what really happened here is that these promotions, or this promotion in particular, had been recommended by the former town manager and also by your interim DPW director, Mr. Jackson. And so based on that, I feel that I still recommend the town council to go forward with this change in the senior foreman position and the promotion of Mr. Ethier.
Thank you. Council Lazo.
The process, once the manager recommends to the council, it's his appointment. As far as the DPW director, a couple meetings ago, they wanted to postpone it or whatever. I wasn't here for this one, but I was there for the other ones, where we postponed it for further research and find out, do we really need it? DPW director, give him some time, he just got here. That's not my words, that's the words of the public that came to the podium. So the council, in its infamous wisdom, postponed it. Give the gentleman some time. Let's see if they maybe, it shakes out a different way. I don't have a problem. Everybody did it. So now, today it comes up, and now we're going to argue over parliamentary moves. And to me, it's like, if you think do nothing's an option, your head's in the clouds. We need to do things, whether we agree with them or disagree with them. I mean, it needs to move forward, for or against. And then if we have to go back to the drawing board, we'll go back to the drawing board. If we have to appoint a new DPW director, if the gentleman left, I don't know. Everybody gets too emotional, and it's spurred by people. People get emotional, and then after there's a lot of passion comes to play. I'm a passionate guy. I get emotional sometimes. I'm getting better as I get older. But I think moving forward, I'm not condoning the previous speaker at the podium on what was said in the back of the room. I'm not going to promote that. I didn't even vote for the gentleman. But I feel that we have to look out for the people of Southbridge. We have to move forward, and if it's favorable, fine. If it's not, we've already reiterated, discussed, chewed on it, subcommittee, main meetings, and it's been postponed, and we've been going on for how many weeks? So, and there were other positions in the same, but it's all in DPW. We dealt with P&P on fire and police. We didn't have these problems. Don't know why, but it's here. We have to deal with it, and tonight we deal with it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, to you. I agree with her, what she said about the DPW director was very improper, his job in here tonight. But we've ordered for Glenn. He's been working in the town of Southbridge almost 30 plus years. And we know his ethic, we know his work, and there's a position open. I think he's more, the agenda was postponed not because that director right now. It was Glenn moved forward in the past, and we postponed it to try to see what that director is gonna do. Come down the department with all these arguments, with all these problems. But seems like he didn't do nothing. But Glenn has nothing to do with that matter, and happen now or in the past. I think he deserved the job. He served the town of Southbridge for a long time, and we don't see any problem with him. That's why my decision is gonna be tonight. Not because of the whatever that, just because that guy, he earned the job, and he worked hard, and he didn't do anything wrong.
And that's not what I'm talking about, just to be clear,
No, I
Councilor
understand.
Dow. I'm not talking about that at all. In fact, I don't know Glenn Ethier, and I wish him well, and I'm sure he's abundantly qualified for the job. What I've been talking about during this meeting and the last meeting, I cannot, I guess there are many people that can, I cannot pretend that we didn't get here the way we got here. Procedurally, the way we arrived at this decision was incorrect, in my opinion. In my opinion. Has nothing to do with, it could be Tom, Dick, Harry, or Glenn. It doesn't matter. Procedurally, the way you got here. He's been working here for 30 years. He's a good employee. He's steady. He does a good job. Here's the thing. From my perception of how this all went down, and you don't need to believe me, because all you need to do is roll the tape back of the February 8th meeting where we have the town councilor, the town manager stating that this position was created because he wanted to keep people in the position, that he was going to lose them if he didn't create a position to keep them. Well, that seems peace at all costs, doesn't seem really appropriate, doesn't seem like a classic negotiation. That seems like a negotiation at the end of a gun. Be that as it may. Then we have the HR director in the same meeting stating that the reason that the job application, the job description was, in my opinion, watered down was so that she could tailor it to fit some people that she wanted to reward for doing a good job. And that's great. That's what a promotion does. This wasn't a promotion. This was a gift. And the only problem with giving that
Ma'am.
gift was that there were a lot of other people in the back of this room that didn't know that there was
Ma'am.
going to be a grab bag or a gift available. And they had no ability to avail themselves of the opportunity
Madam.
to seek a similar gift.
Madam, please, this is your second time up. You're running late on time.
And I don't think I spoke inappropriately, Councilor Daniel, and you've silenced me before, and I don't think I've spoken inappropriately.
I'm not saying you're speaking inappropriately. The council rules state that on agenda items, you're allowed 3 minutes and 2 minutes.
Thank you. And I'm concluded because I will make no difference anyway.
Thank you. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, it's very interesting. I'm going to speak on the agenda item itself real quick, and that's for Glenn. Glenn's been recommended by at least 5 individuals in a leadership position within the DPW to fulfill this position at this point in time. So I plan on voting yes. This is not something that every time it comes back up with his name on it. Matter of fact, two meetings ago, he got pointed out personally about taking extra money, which was inappropriate, not by our rules and regulations, not by our charter, not by Robert's rules here and there. And then today, it's not about him. Well, I do think it's about him. And I think the fact is we had 5 between town managers, interim town managers, DPW directors, interim DPW directors, operations chief, all that kind of stuff. They all recommended Glenn for this position. So I'm going to vote yes. Now, since it seems like everybody else is going off the agenda item, I will state this. For those young individuals that are in the DPW right now that just got hired on, there's a lot of job opportunities within the DPW, and they'll be coming up. So I say you step up, you take those positions, you start working on helping the DPW grow as the town council is trying to get this DPW to grow from all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top. Thank you.
Very good. Council Lazo.
On the agenda item, we spoke about everything around it. Glenn Ethier, veteran, Southbridge resident, years of experience, snow, and we know it's a management position. We know there are boots on the ground out there. The bottom line comes down to is Glenn Ethier is fully qualified for this position, and it should move forward. I'll be voting in favor of Glenn Ethier.
Very good. Roll call.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
No.
Councilor Steves?
Abstain.
Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 yes, 2 no, 1 abstain.
The motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Ethier.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's it, Glenn.
Item number 14, vote to accept the amendment and restatement of the Inter-municipal sewer agreement and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Lazo, a second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was discussed at the DPW Subcommittee meeting, and it was approved to come up to the Town Council by a 4-to-1 decision. Now, I did vote against it. My main reason for voting against it was that, Charlie, you negotiated this contract on behalf of Sturbridge, and now you are working for the town of Southbridge, and suddenly, it just seemed a little unusual to me that this would come up now when you're working for Southbridge. I don't think it's a conflict of interest, but I just was curious, thought it was a little unusual, and I thought perhaps maybe we should let the next town manager renegotiate this agreement. I mean, I do have some concerns about some of the things that are in the agreement, but that is my main reason. Thank you.
Councilor Steves.
I just wanted to point out that this has been a negotiation back when Michael McCall was here. It's been going on for, I don't know, at least 6 or 8 months. I don't know exactly when it started. I've heard some discussion of it just as, you know, as a reporter seeing the Sturbridge Board of Selectmen has been bringing it up periodically for a while now. They've been waiting for us to do something with it. I just, through you to the manager, I just wanted to ask, were you in some way involved in these negotiations with Sturbridge? Or I would assume that your wife was, because she's chair of the selectmen.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Well, actually, on the very first one that came out, I was on the Board of Selectmen at the time, and I was actually involved in the Water and Sewer Commission. And so I was aware and instrumental in the idea that we would send some of the wastewater from Sturbridge to Southbridge.
Right.
And the goal at the time was simply to make sure we all, covered our fair costs, that Sturbridge paid the same rate as other users in Southbridge do. And it's my understanding that this contract has been renewed at least once, if not twice, since that first time. And again, on this one, right here, nothing substantial, changes. There was an adjustment made at some point where I believe Sturbridge provided a sewer line, down a portion of Southbridge that needed to be improved, and I think that was in a subsequent, contract from the one that I was involved with as a selectman. So I have no, interest in this, other than the fact that I live in Sturbridge. There's no other interest in the agreement itself. And I did talk with Mr. Merchant from Veolia, who reviewed this and felt that it was fair and that it was also in the best interest of Southbridge to continue to take this wastewater. So I would encourage, the council to approve this and allow me to sign it.
I just wanted to point out that Mr. Merchant was at the meeting, and I asked him a couple of similar questions. And I personally have no problem with it. I think this is it's common sense. We've been having an agreement with Sturbridge for years and years now, and it makes sense to continue the agreement that we have. I just wanted to kind of put it on the record of what the manager's involvement had been in the past. That's all. I don't think there's a conflict of interest here. Just, it's something that's something that you might want to clarify with the Ethics Commission.
Very good. Thank you. Council Lazo.
This intermunicipal agreement happened a long time ago. They're not getting it for free. I think back in the day when we did this, we did it for profit. And it was convenient for Sturbridge because they did not have to pump the sewer grade-wise, could not pump it towards the main plant, and it was easy to come towards Southbridge. And then we have a subdivision in Sturbridge right over the line on the right there. That's going to be coming full turn. So I think that's what spurred some of the discussion on the actual the flow. But I think that the original agreement was it was good for Sturbridge and we could profit by it by selling some of our sewer capacity. It was a business move. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Anyone else? I'm sorry, Rachel, come on up.
I was unaware that this was being renegotiated or was still in the talks because I was involved with the original DPW director and Mike McCall with the negotiations that were being discussed when I first started a little over a year ago. So I'm just curious, because our department bills for that, if there was any changes. I see amended. I'm not familiar with anything that's gone on, so. Is there changes, or is it just a renewal of the existing?
It's really just a renewal of the existing
Okay,
agreement.
no, I just was curious if that was, so I'm aware of what's going on.
May I ask, are you talking about your involvement is doing the water and sewer billing?
Correct, yes. Yeah, so I had been involved with the talks between Mike McCall, it was Mike McCall, Heather, and myself with Sturbridge and their team.
Right.
So I wasn't brought back in when this started again, so I just wasn't sure if there was amendments made or changes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you go through, there were no changes in any of, in fact, there are no rates even, defined in this other than identifying the rate that will be charged, which will be set whenever Southbridge, wants to set the rate.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Steves.
Just to clarify, I think either Dave or Scott mentioned it, is that one of the things about the amount of wastewater flow is, from what I understand from what Mr. Merchant mentioned at the meeting, is that it's the amount that Sturbridge can use is so much lower than they're actually. Let me rephrase that. The amount that Sturbridge is using is so much lower than they actually can use that they're probably not going to reach the capacity anyway. And as I understand it from what he was saying, if I'm remembering how he said it, is that the rates are, the way it's set up is that we don't charge individual users. We basically bill the town as a whole, and the town pays for it.
That's correct.
Yeah, because we're not billing, say Charlie's house, for example. And so, and I know the way he's mentioning it is set up as a 5-year deal because the town of Sturbridge is currently looking at possibility of rerouting some of their sewage to their own plant, if they can upgrade it in time to do something like that. So that's kind of why it's a temporary agreement as opposed to any major changes.
Thank you. Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, then, that's why, looking over the contract, I did have some questions. I'm sure you have some legitimate answers for my questions, but things like capital improvements. Now, when we have capital improvements done at our wastewater treatment plant, that comes out of our money, and I don't see Sturbridge contributing to that. As far as us not billing them, why can't we bill them? Because Sturbridge bills them, so what? So Sturbridge bills them. Why can't we bill them as well? We're not billing Charlie's, we're not billing your house. You're not even on this sewer line. I believe it's Fiscal Plaza that's on this sewer line. We're giving them 300,000 gallons of sewage. Why are we giving them that much? They don't need that much. So these are some of the questions that I had. Upkeep costs are one of them. We are always spending money to do something in a wastewater treatment plant, and I don't see why we can't charge them an additional fee for things like that. But those are my only questions. I'm sure you have some answers, but thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, on item 6 here, it talks about allocation and payment of capital costs. It says Sturbridge and Southbridge acknowledge that Sturbridge has previously contributed the amount of $450,000 for capital costs associated with capacity that Southbridge allocates Sturbridge as described in paragraph 5.2. It's my understanding that there was a force main, and I'm trying to think maybe it was down Mill Street. I'm not exactly sure which street it was, but I believe that Sturbridge was assessed for that because the improvement to that sewer line was primarily needed for the capacity of the sewage that's coming from Sturbridge. And so the initial concept of this was that once all the infrastructure was put in, say, for example, for the pump station that was required to take the wastewater from Sturbridge into Southbridge, any metering and anything done there, once that was done, that the way Sturbridge would contribute to the capital costs would be the same way that every other sewage user, wastewater user in Southbridge contributes, that Sturbridge would not be getting special assessments. Now, obviously, it did get a special assessment for this $450,000, which they did pay to construct that force main, and then also, because it was needed to do that. So I believe the reason for the 300,000 gallons per day is that at the time, this was early negotiated with the capacity Southbridge had, there was plenty of capacity to do that. And for Sturbridge, I think, to enter into this and actually contribute $450,000 for that force main, you'd want to have the ability to make sure that if there was some additional growth of wastewater users in Sturbridge, that they would also be able to use that if it became most cost-effective to bring the sewage to Southbridge. Personally, I'm still under the impression that with that section of town, it's better to have it go to Southbridge than to pump it all the way back to Sturbridge. But I understand from what Gus said,
That makes sense, yeah.
There has been some talk a year or so ago that possibly it would be worthwhile to put in a pump station and pump it all the way back. I don't have any information on that other than the fact my personal feeling from previous experience is that that's not the way to go, as long as we have that proximity to Southbridge and the ability for Southbridge to handle that sewage. Mm-hmm. And again, it's in pretty much the same form as it's been, and I think it's, I'd have to look at the term, but I believe it's the normal term that, we tried to put these agreements into so that we all understand that we have a certain commitment for a certain number of years ahead.
Right.
Okay. Councilor Rivas.
I just had a question about what is the actual usage if the capacity is 300,000 gallons?
I don't know. I thought maybe Mr. Burgess said in the order of 100,000, something like that.
I thought he was saying maybe even as low as 30,000.
Oh, really?
It was pretty low. I was surprised at how low it was.
Yeah, I can say they almost never go over. like once, maybe a year, and it's not by a lot.
So, okay. Council Steves.
Just one quick more observation is that I think one of the reasons that we charge only Sturbridge and not individual users is the fact that, from what I understand, from what Mr. Merchant was saying, is the town of Sturbridge actually owns the lines that are in Sturbridge. We didn't build them; they built them. They own them, as opposed to whereas the town obviously our town obviously owns the lines that are in Southbridge. So. I think that's one of the reasons why we don't charge individual users. It's up to them if they want to do that or not.
Okay. Everyone all set? All those in favor? Opposed? 8-1. Councilor Marquetti opposed. Motion passes. Item number 15, vote to approve applying for $30,000 through the Massachusetts Preservation Project Fund, MPPF, to complete a town hall facility study for a total project cost of $60,200, with the town's 50% matching funds coming from Town Hall Renovations Project number 63390, raising 75% of the project cost per the grant requirements to cover temporary cash flow, or $45,150 from Town Hall Renovations Project number 63390 until reimbursed, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unanimous for all present in favor of bringing it up to the town council.
Any discussion? Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. Just so I understand this correctly, this is the project so we can go through the whole town hall and find things much like the roof leak, but all the way down to the basement, infrastructure and everything, because this is something that is very important to me going forward, and I believe that the chair spoke about this too, and I'm happy to see money coming from some of these capital accounts we identified months ago, and I'm glad that we're moving forward on this sooner than later. Thank you for bringing it forward.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
I'd like to just throw out a kudo to Councilor Dow. I mean, he and a couple people came in, and I was on a pro roads and sidewalks tour with some of the councilors, and they enlightened us on man sides that were tipping out, different masonry problems, and then the one meeting that stole the cake was when there was a waterfall coming down the backside of Councilor Dow. So I think the points were well made. I think the powers to be on the council and went forward and said, let's, try and work with Peg Dean. And Peg Dean, as usual, plugged into 220, gets the job done, and here we are. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Adams.
Just a real quick reminder, obviously, we're raising 75%, obviously, and then we'll be reimbursed 50. If I'm not mistaken, Ms. Dean had brought up the fact that we'll look at the nooks and cranny of the building, what the offices could be utilized for, how to, and if I'm not mistaken, department heads will have a big say in how it should look and stuff like that, and then I'll recommend it to the town council in the near future. So looking forward to it. Also, I want to note that we put, $1.2 million, $1.3 million from the Wells School specifically into a capital stabilization fund, specifically for this building. So look forward to start utilizing those funds. Thank you.
Right.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Councilor Adams, we're raising 75%. They're not giving us back 50% of that, correct?
No, 50%.
We have to match 50%, but we have to come up with 75%, so just maybe if I get some clarification on that.
There's a requirement of 75%.
Right.
But we only get reimbursed back 50%, not 50% of the 75%.
Okay. And, all right, thank you.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 16, vote to accept the Department of Transportation's Safe Streets for All SS4A grant for $60,000 to be coupled with a Complete Streets Tier 2 planning grant for total project cost of $98,000, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Unanimous again of all present that evening. This is something that's been ongoing for quite some time, but the biggest thing here is what I'm enjoying seeing is the fact that we talk about safe streets and complete streets here, because just only a few years ago, it was recommended by the staff, none present here at this point in time, not to work on complete streets where it give us up to, I believe it's $400,000 per project. And we saw wise to actually utilize that. Obviously, those complete streets really push bike lanes, running trails. Yeah. Uh-oh, she's correcting me, I'm done. It's over. I'm out.
Sidewalks.
Yeah,
Sidewalks, there you go, thank you.
Okay,
That's all I've got.
great. Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we just have a little bit more of an explanation about this? This is for a study, so we can get future grants? Thank you.
Yep.
So, as mentioned by Councilor Adams, you became a complete street community, which opened you up after you adopted the policy, which says when you do a project, you will take into consideration whether you can make a street more multimodal. Then when the infrastructure grant, or the infrastructure legislation came through, they opened up some new discretionary funds. For instance, this Safe Streets for All, we went for those funds with the intention of, it had the same vein of how to use complete streets funds, except it had a very specific ask that you try to aim for 0 fatalities and reduce the number of serious injuries. And so when we do the plan, we can now couple our Complete Streets Tier 2 plan funding of $38,000 with the Safe Streets for All $60,000. When we go to do a project, we can look at, can we use any of those funds for what we prioritize within the plan? And so we'll be looking at, and we'll make sure, we'll make sure to be asking for comments as part of the beginning of that planning process, but we'll be looking at all potential intersections in the most concentrated areas of the downtown. We were asked, for instance, would we consider the more rural areas? Probably less so. This is more focused on where you have the intersection of multimodal transportation, so where you have your cars, your pedestrians, your bikes, et cetera. And I think that, some of the obvious rural suggestions might be Gulfwood Road.
So they would be looking at the streets to say, okay, this is safe, unsafe, what can we do to correct this? Those type of studies, plans, blueprints, or whatever?
If I may, through you, Chair, as I understand it, yes. And looking at things like your sidewalk widths. We have a lot of narrow sidewalks that would need to be updated to wider widths to make it more appropriate for, today's wheelchairs and strollers, et cetera, right? We want people to be able to get around as easily as possible through our downtown. As we all know, sidewalk funding is rare, and so this is one opportunity for us to be able to, when we look at a larger infrastructure project, say, we could use Complete Streets or Safe Streets for All funding to leverage this project to include sidewalk replacement. That would be a win for the town.
And this is the first step towards gaining those other grants, doing a study on the safety of downtown, correct?
It's second, third step. So you guys you're really moving along here. You got your Complete Streets, then we took advantage of a new opportunity with the Safe Streets for All. They're both planning grants, so now we go into the planning phase for both of these grants together. Once the planning grant is complete and you've adopted a prioritization plan, then when you go for projects, then you'll have those funds. It is not quick. Nothing in government is necessarily quick. It's thoughtful, it's planning, and then we have to make sure we use those planning prioritization project suggestions whenever we're going for future infrastructure.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Councilor Laszlo.
That's what Councilor Adams meant, right? Thank you. Well, boy.
You guys got the short version, that's all. You guys got to keep up with me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peg, a quick question. As you know, obviously, you saw the discussion that we had for a later item on the MassWorks sidewalk grant. If we approve this kind of this project, the Safe Streets grant, and it goes through, how long would it take for them to actually do the study that we're talking about doing with the sidewalks and the other needs here? And how would we have that tie into the possibility of doing the MassWorks sidewalk issue that we were talking about? We haven't gotten to yet.
if I may, through you, Chair, I don't think those two would line up, unfortunately. We will be going for, if this MassWorks expression of interest says, yes, the sidewalks in front of commercial businesses is viable, then you would be applying in June. You would know by November. You would have to go forward by the following construction year. You may have up to a year and a half, so you could have through maybe 2025. So I guess I'm being realistic, but it's possible, I guess.
Okay.
How's that? It's potentially possible. So then with this, once we accept the Safe Streets for All, because it's a federal grant, it's a little bigger of a lift. It's going to take us a little longer to get going. And so I don't imagine we're going to be in the planning phase for this until, if it's March, I'm going to predict August, July.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay.
So if we were doing a planning grant starting in July, we don't want to feel rushed by any means. We want to make
Right.
sure we have good public participation, et cetera. We'd want to give it at least 8 months, So maybe it could line up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just curious. Thanks.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 17, vote to apply for the expression of interest through One Stop for Growth to assess the eligibility of an urban agenda grant to fund lights at the Henry Street baseball field and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Unanimous of all present, bring forward. So this was an interesting one. We had a long conversation, number 17 and 18. Number 17 and 18 originally, and I hate to go off the agenda a little bit, but number 18 was American Optical MassWorks grant. But number 17 specifically is to hopefully be able to utilize this type of urban grant or this type of grant to pay for the Henry Street lights out there for the Little League baseball fields. Now, some will say, didn't we already authorize this? We did. We authorized funds up to $130,000 utilizing ARPA. But if we were to receive this grant, we could bring that $130,000 back into the fold to utilize from other projects within the town.
Any questions? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 18, vote to apply for the MassWorks grant for infrastructure work on town sidewalks next to commercial businesses and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion to amend this, as I messed up on this motion earlier that Councilor Steves caught, so I appreciate that. Motion to amend this to state the following: vote to apply for the expression of interest through One Stop for Growth to assess the eligibility of a MassWorks grant for infrastructure work on the town sidewalks next to the commercial businesses and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Adams and a second by Councilor Lazo on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we forgive you, Councilor Adams.
Thank you.
We know you have a lot of things.
We're all set.
You do a lot of things. You cover a lot of things. We appreciate your work. You're really one of the good counselor. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Very good. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Unanimous, all present on the amendment. We now have a new motion, an amended motion on the floor. Any discussion on the amended motion? Councilor Lazo.
I would just like to say that the subcommittee had some in-depth discussion, and it kind of turned into something a little different. This money is not going to go to the DPW to do sidewalks. This is going to actually go to the Planning and Development, the Economic Development Department, and they can apply to repair sidewalks in front of their businesses. And if I'm incorrect on this, you can straighten me out just like you straighten out Councilor Adams. But I think the intent was, there are a lot of small businesses in town that their sidewalks are erratic and people are tripping, and that having it done through economic development, a subcontractor would go in and just do the sidewalk. It wouldn't put any more strain on the DPW on what they have to do as a project. That was creative, and I appreciate the subcommittee work. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So originally, like I said earlier, this grant kind of changed, this motion changed, and Councilor Lazo had brought it up. Originally, this was for American Optical to help with some of the road projects and some within the AO itself. I do know there's always been discussion about private and public entity funds here and there, but I do think it's a worthwhile cause to take a look in the near future on this project that the AO had provided. But that being said, Councilor Lazo had brought up, if this is something that we obviously have an issue with sidewalks, just like we have an issue, but we've got a way to fix the roads, but we have issues with the sidewalks. And if this is something that we can apply for and let the state say, hey, this is a good idea, why don't we do it? And this is for sidewalks specifically within the businesses that he brought up, and I thought that was a great idea. I know Ms. Dean said the same thing. So we went ahead and went with it and recommended it to the town council, vice the AO. Now, just so you know, if they come back and say no, that doesn't work, maybe we can reapply for the AO because they already had the expression of interest in there, and we have helped them in the past as long as it's the public has the ability to enjoy the new facilities over there. And they can also apply again next year, and I confirmed that with Ms. Dean today because I didn't want to speak out of turn. But that being said, it was unanimous of all present that evening, a 5-0 vote to move forward with this, and I think it's a great idea to provide some more funds and through a third-party contractor like Councilor Lazo stated. That's all. That's all I got.
Very good. Councilor Steves.
I just want to say, obviously, I was at that meeting too, and I'm very much in favor of doing this. I just want to say that we need to make clear how we set it up in such a way, because after all, the sidewalks are public property. And so I just want to make sure that when we do it, as I kind of said at the meeting, I want to make sure that we do it in such a way that we're not like signaling out business A and business B and then skipping business C and doing business D, so we don't have these gaps and stuff, because they are after all public sidewalks. So if we get the region and do them all along the whole stretch, we need to make sure it's complete. That's what I want to make sure we do that for everybody's safety.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not to backtrack a little bit, we do need DPW's input on these sidewalks, because if you get something torn up the following year after you just spent $100,000 on sidewalks, I mean, that's a waste of money, taxpayer money, and waste of our time and defeating the purpose. So I think this has to be a joint venture in a sense. I want to be very careful also with Ms. Dean's department as well, overloading them when this really is maybe another department's area that we can kind of work on. But I think we can figure out the nuts and bolts at the end.
I think we can do.
Thank you.
Ms. Dean.
Yes, if I may, through you, just as a comfort to the town, we just wrapped up the slum blight survey of the downtown area, which if you'll recall, we'd recruited many of the boards, committees, commissions related to economic development and planning. With that process, we also recruited DPW and the town planner to evaluate sidewalks in that area. And so we have a rating system which will also help as a guide. Similar to how we do commercial rehab, I imagine there could be some sort of rubric that's come up with to help make sure that this is, funds are used as economically as possible.
Councilor Lazo.
I think the creativity of this is not to just have it in the downtown area. I think the outcry that we're getting as councilors are businesses such as Pleasant Street, you got Fins and Tails, you got different places down there that they're always replacing 12 Crane Street, the differentials in the asphalt and not concrete. You can go to Hamilton Street. There are various businesses that do not have the ability to get on a road program, but they do have the ability to come in and say, I have a problem in front of my store, take a picture of it, put it on the priority list, and because we have a lot of small businesses that only have small runs of sidewalks. So in putting it in one road and just laying it out for one business is defeating the purpose of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of taking care of a lot of businesses and not just one business when it comes forward. But again, the priorities, how bad are they, where are they located? But the intent was it to be commercial property, not residential. We get urban grants where they go into low-income areas. They can't go into the business district. This one's a little different. This one here is for commercial property. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So, Ms. Dean, what do you think the chances are of us getting this MassWorks grant for this issue here?
If I was a betting
project?
person, at less than 50%?
Really?
Why? Because it's hard to substantiate the economic development value to a sidewalk. I will do my best, obviously, as I do with all grants, to make that argument as soundly as possible. The reason I brought up the slum blight survey is because that will substantiate the argument with what the condition of the downtown is, but we'll make sure that the bounds are obviously not just the downtown. But I'm just naturally skeptical. I don't want to get my hopes up, nor the town council's hopes up. I think it's the right move is you ask now during the expression of interest when you have the time for the feedback to find out if you're eligible. You're not wasting an application, and then say they come back with feedback that says why or why not, we could potentially improve it, and then go forward. If they say no, no chance, then you come back, I could come back to the council, maybe you'll have some other suggestions for a different direction that we could go for the application in June.
All right, thank you.
I think it's a worthwhile question.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 19, vote to approve payment of a prior year invoice to Telegram and Gazette in the amount of $72.36 from account number 001180.530000, Specialized Services. This requires a two-thirds vote.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Yeah, it was 5-0 in favor of getting this thing paid.
Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 20, vote to rescind the motion from January 9th, 2023. Agenda item number 23, to vote to approve entering into an agreement with either Childscapes or M.E. O'Brien and Sons Incorporated for playground equipment and surfacing at McCann Fields for up to $132,000 using Operations Services Division, OCD, contract FAC 104 funded with the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Park Grant, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Adams, second by Councilor Lazo. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was voted 5-0 in favor of bringing to the town council to rescind this motion. And the following agenda items will cover that as well. I believe it's number 21.
Any questions? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the subcommittee meeting, Ms. Dean, you mentioned that the contractor could not do this project in a certain timeline, and that's why you thought we should rescind it. So does that mean that a contract was awarded, or just talking about it?
If I may, through you, Chair, the contractor sent me the quote for us to enter into the agreement, and you have approved us entering into an agreement for the lowest quote between M.E. O'Brien and there was another vendor for less than $130,000. So had all the terms been ideal, I would have signed and we would have been marching forward. The terms said they could not get us the equipment by the June 30 deadline. They gave me lots of assurance that they're sure it would go well and that it would probably work out fine, but I can't take that chance, obviously, and so I got creative. As much as it seems sometimes like I'm trying to be difficult by creating all these cumbersome motions, I'm genuinely just trying to be as nimble as possible to get these projects done. So we have CDBG, which tends to be a little more flexible about the extensions, thankfully, and then the park grant, which is incredibly strict about timelines. I'm flipping the funds between the two. We'll go for fencing for the through Charlton fence for the baseball field and the basketball field if all goes through in the next motions. Through the park grant, he can do it by June 30, and then the CDBG will allow us the little bit of cushion to be able to get the playground.
So no contract was signed?
No contract was signed.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 21, vote to approve funding the McCann Field baseball and basketball fences not to exceed $130,000 through the park grant to be completed by June 30, 2023, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I'm taking a look at these motions, and I should have flipped these around a little bit to be able to authorize the payment. The first motion, which is 21, is $430,000, but there's motions for ARPA and CDBG and all that kind of stuff that have to be approved as well. So, unless the town council has a disagreement with me, I make a motion to suspend the rules and move 23, 24, 25 up. To talk about first, please. And the reason behind this is the fact that we're authorizing the agenda item number 21, authorizing $430,000. Yes, some of these items here are to cover that $130,000.
So then we send our first and second then?
I'm sorry.
Second.
So then should we withdraw our first and second then? Because we have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor.
My only question,
That's okay. Councilor Marquetti.
my only question is, looking at some of the numbers here, they don't add up to the same amount here. That I'm looking at 114,934. So I don't know what, all of these motions together from 20 on down, some of the numbers, they don't add up, but correct me if I'm wrong, please. Thank you.
Could I clarify?
Sure. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Okay. We have a motion on the floor right now, and it's been moved and seconded. I believe the proper procedure is to table the item until later in the meeting, and we can pull it back from the table afterwards. Does that sound correct?
That's what you want to do. I don't care. Go ahead.
Gentlemen?
No,
Okay.
I think Councilor Adams is correct in making a motion. Even if you have a motion on this floor, to my understanding is he wants to take them out of order. That would
require a motion to suspend the rules, which is a two-thirds vote, and then to move those agenda items
And then
up.
move those agenda items.
Leave it move with the motion in the second.
And I should have started before you started there. Jim.
Right,
That's all right.
stand correct.
I
All right. So we want to, all right.
I'll move to suspend the rules and move those items up.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Ryan to suspend the rules and a second by Councilor Lazo to suspend the rules. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That meets the two-thirds, makes the two-thirds field. Okay. The motion by Councilor Adams is to move items 23, 24, 25 up before 21.
That's correct.
Okay, is there a second for that? I'm sorry, who seconded that? Councilor Dow? All right. So the motion by Councilor Adams, a second by Councilor Dow to move items 23, 24, 25 to before 21. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Very good, that is done. So let's go to item number 23 then. Vote to approve funding the McGann Fields Playground using $70,860 in CDBG fiscal year 20 grant funds and $31,120.33 in ARPA and $12,954.07 in Henry Street basketball court funding, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Adams, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sure Ms. Dean is up there ready to correct me where I'm wrong here. So there's a lot of moving parts at this point in time. Bless you. All right, first of all, you have the CDBG funds for fiscal, it was unanimous all present, by the way, to bring forward up here, positive. All right, so the first one is $70,860 for CDBG fiscal year 20 grant funds to be able to pay for the basketball courts. I'm sorry, I think it's the
Playground.
Playground, okay. So to utilize CDBG funds for fiscal year 20. Also, $31,120 in ARPA funds, which were approved at the last ARPA meeting, which was recommended to the town council, so they're approving these ARPA funds, and $12,954.07 Henry Street funding. Ms. Dean, can you correct me? Where's that $12,954 coming from again?
From the Henry Street basketball court
It is.
funding?
Okay,
Correct.
thank you. All right. So it's unanimous of all present at the P&D, and also I believe it was unanimous, all present at the ARPA meeting that we had last week, to recommend to the town council to cover the cost of this. And that comes out to your $114,934, and that's going to be for the O'Brien, M.E. O'Brien playground equipment funding.
Ms. Dean?
To Councilor Marquette's question about why the numbers don't add up, because there's a 3-week lag time to getting you subcommittee items to town council. Unfortunately, it was when I was coming to you for the Childscapes versus M.E. O'Brien playground request, I'd asked for an up to amount of what I knew I had funds available, and it came back at $114,000 and change. I think it's $114,900. And similarly, when I came to you for this request about the Charlton fence or the fence repairs, I am aware I have a definite of less than $50,000 for the baseball fields, and I have a cost estimate for the basketball courts. I still have to go for the basketball court formal quotes, which takes the advertising in the central registry, the publication, et cetera, and that's usually a 2 to 3 week window. So I'm in the middle of doing that once I get my final quotes back. I'm hoping it comes in around 100, but I'm making sure that I have enough approved so that we can just go forward with the contract, they can get started.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. That was item number 23. Item number 24, vote to approve an extension for the CDBG fiscal year 20 grant from June 30, 2023 to September 30, 2023 to allow for the time for the installation of a playground partially funded by CDBG.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unanimous of all present. 5-0.
Very
Favor
good.
of.
In favor of. Any
Extending it.
discussion? I'm sorry, Councilor Rivas.
I just have a quick question on the playground, and just from our discussion before around the communication board, was that able to be fit into that?
It was, yeah. So as the resident had asked for, the specific board they were hoping for is included. And we also ordered a xylophone, which they asked to have a rainbow theme to make sure that it was another way to have some kind of inclusiveness. And so the company wasn't able to do it, but they have chosen to help us customize it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, through you. And I know that this is for the Henry Street field, right? Okay. Just doesn't say that in the agenda, but I'm just presuming that it is. Thank you.
If I may, through you, since starting, I have referred to Capello Park McCann Fields as one. I'm trying to create the illusion for all of you that it's actually one big park, and then this ADA path that's going to connect the two will further reinforce all of that.
Thank you. Great.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 25, vote to approve $31,120.33 in ARPA funds for the installation and construction of playground equipment at Henry Street Park, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unanimous of all present from the ARPA committee.
Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Going back, item number 21. It was vote to approve funding the McGann Fields baseball and basketball fences not to exceed $130,000 through the park grant to be completed by June 30, 2023, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Adams. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, we skipped 20. Yeah, we went to 21 over 20, right?
No.
We did that?
You voted
We did that?
We voted on 20.
We voted on 20? Okay, just making sure.
That's all right.
Yep, no problem. Okay, we're all set?
Yeah.
It's item 21. Any discussion on item 21? Councilor Adams, you wish to
Thank
address
you.
it?
Unanimous of all present. These funds right here are going to be utilized for the fencing. As we can see down at the basketball field, it's pretty bad. The fencing was not built correctly, really no oversight whatsoever, and hopefully, based on what Ms. Dean and the contract stating how to reassure and stabilize that fencing is part of the plan.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So a couple of questions. So you're putting 130,000, but you're not sure you're going to need 130,000? Is that what you said earlier?
Correct. So we have, because of the low bid that came in for the overall construction for the handball courts, the skate park, and the ADA path with lighting, we have $132,000 left, which we were using for tree installation, site furnishings, and then I'd come to you and asked for this grandiose playground I was so excited about, right? And then we found out we weren't going to be able to get it in time, so we started thinking about, well, if we're already paying for CDBG, through CDBG for some fencing, how do we maximize that $130,000 on the table without losing it before June 30? Talking to Charlton Fence, if they get the bid, or they get the quote, they're able to get both the basketball court and the baseball field fencing done by June 30. We're able to use that $130,000 available through that park grant. It's use it or lose it. And so even with the site furnishings, with all of these things, the orders are far out. Supply chain issues still exist for these kinds of things, with construction still doing very well.
So you moved money out of the basketball courts funding to pay for the playground equipment, and now you're using park grant money to pay for the basketball court fencing. I'm going to presume that was part of the same funding, but you're doing that because otherwise we're going to lose the park grant, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 22, vote to approve entering into an agreement with the Sitescapes or comparable vendor for not more than $25,000 to purchase site furnishings for Capillo Park, McGann Fields.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, unanimous of all present that evening. As well, to bring it up here, I do know the councilors received 2 pictures of some equipment. That's not going to cost $25,000. I believe you have a few other things. Obviously, ADA compliant, that was one of the questions that was brought up. But there was some good information that you were providing for those that need a little help, those kids who need a little help as well.
If I may, through you, this is specific actually to the recycling and trash receptacles, benches, handicap accessible picnic tables, whatever we can try to afford with the last of the park grant money. It's all fitting into what we end up spending for the Charlton fence or the fence, the basketball court, whatever remains, we can spend on the site furnishings if we can get the order in quick enough. So we get that quote back for the second fence. We know how much we have left. At that point, we enter into an agreement with whomever we can get the cheapest material from. And so, if I may, I actually am not sure, did I specifically state Sitescapes for this as the vendor?
Yes.
Is there any chance the council would consider amending it to or the cheapest vendor or the most affordable vendor?
The item says with Sitescapes or comparable vendor.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you, I'm covered. So just so you know, again, it's all about who can deliver it to us, guaranteed June 30.
Councilor Marquetti.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Councilor Adams, was this on your subcommittee? I don't remember this one.
I don't think it was.
No, you know what? It was not. So I take that back. It was not unanimous of all present. It was brought, because this came up at the last possible second, I brought it right at the town council. I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying you guys all voted in favor of everything that I bring forward, Ms. Dean. So my mistake. I'll turn off the repeat button.
So just for clarification, could you repeat against what this is for?
Yes. So in line with the going for spending down the park grant as quick as possible, I was in conversations with Sitescapes about quotes for materials. I was looking at benches, picnic tables, receptacles, trash and recycling receptacles, and again was told they couldn't get it to me. They couldn't guarantee the June 30 unless I signed by this Friday with the, and so with these stipulations. And I thought, we can do this. I went straight to the council chair and said, let's try to make this happen. And so, again, we don't want to leave any money on the table, working as hard as we can to make sure we make the most of this.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. I get the feeling that you're playing Tetris and
I feel like it.
you're fitting everything
trying to
in
keep
just
up with
right,
what she's
and
got going on.
It's just all kinds of different ways of getting
Yes.
it all in to the last penny.
And kudos to the town council for being flexible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Morris Street.
Morris Street.
Where is that?
We're already working on it.
Item number 26, vote to approve $28,975 in ARPA funds for the GIS mapping and database upgrades, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was unanimous of all those present. I believe it was a 3-0 vote to bring forward this ARPA funds. Obviously, this is, I know Ms. Rachel will correct me quickly if I'm wrong, but this is the upgrade, our GIS system. We received a presentation, I don't know, about a month ago from a vendor, and he gave us a great presentation on the upgrades and how this helps. Some of the questions, I believe it was Councilor Marchetti, had asked about how does this help utilizing the ARPA funds?
Right.
I believe it was, okay. And I know the deputy chief had brought in there that they utilize the GIS, this system as well. There's quite a few of them, and please, Rachel, stand up if you need to, and I can only explain so much, and I am not the subject matter expert on everything. Believe it or not, Councilor Lazo.
Councilor Marchetti.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So that was my question, but I also was curious as what is wrong with this present system. I know that the deputy fire chief got up, he's here tonight. Are they having problems using this? Because that wasn't explained to me. I've gone on the present site and I find it works fine. And he says that the fire department uses it, but I was wondering, are they having problems with it?
This is an enhancement to the current system. It's not a replacement necessarily. We still have a similar product that we have today.
Right.
We are looking to switch companies, which is part of, a small part of the funding, as we do want to switch to an even better GIS mapping system. What the majority of this funding is for is to have an overlay of a flyover. So it's, instead of satellite imagery, it's a flyover. So, and they do oblique image capture, so we can actually view properties at an angle. We can check heights. You can get really, really close in, so it's great for DPW to look for problems in roads. They can monitor, especially back roads where you're not driving frequently. You can do split screens year to year to monitor that. You can monitor floral growth around your, like say your reservoirs or, protected wetland areas. If there's damage from tornadoes or something, you can monitor that regrowth over the years. There's just like numerous things because your abilities, they fly it once a year, so you have very updated data with our current state-funded system. The most recent flyover we have right now is from 2021, and then it'll be probably another 5 years before we have another flyover done. So you've got that frequency of flyovers, but it's great for the police department. If they're getting a call on a remote location, they don't know what's there, they can check the flyovers, kind of get a sense of the area for their safety before they enter. Trash cleanup, Board of Health, they can monitor, especially some of the bigger sites year to year that are going to take longer to clean up. There's just multiple uses. So it's an enhancement to our current system. For me personally, in the assessing area, it's going to allow me to make sure that I'm fairly and accurately assessing everybody's property. So I'm not over-assessing or under-assessing any one property over another. So for me, that's the major benefit.
So, if I could continue, the funding is for 3 years that you're asking for, and then after that, the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it?
If we find the program's been useful and helpful, then we would ask to include it in the budget.
Okay.
And that's, right now, we're looking to fund like the Cadillac option. So this would have public option. They don't get to see as close as we would have. And there's a few other features that aren't available to the public. But we'd have that forward-facing public option. There's a couple other minor ones that we could eliminate, but the program that we're looking to fund for 3 years is $6,500 annually.
Was it, I believe it wasn't 88,000, somewhere around there?
That's I had to look, 8,500, yeah, I believe it was annually.
And is
So
there,
that's with the 3-year commitment. If we don't do a 3-year commitment, it's 9,000 annually.
and is there a difference between what we're paying now for the service and what we'd be paying for this?
This is in addition to what we're currently using, so we have to have a GIS system, a mapping system, which is our tax maps with all of our parcel data, record cards attached. That's a separate thing from this. This is like an overlay
So this
or
is
a
on,
layer.
this is in addition to what we're paying now?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So this is basically a layer added to our tax maps. So if we find it to be useful after the 3 years, I think then we'll have a really good grasp. Are the departments using it? Is it been beneficial to our department? And then we can assess whether, whether we want to ask for funding to continue it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Council Lazo, then Council Steves.
I mean, you say there's a flyover.
Correct.
Is this going to be done by the computer company, or do we use our own personal drone?
They have airplanes. They do like the whole state. There's like Auburn has this program. Webster.
So in other words, we don't need any equipment.
No, they do the flyers. Yep,
Hi.
they have special cameras. They're the oblique imagery that they take.
Thank you.
Yep.
Council Steves.
Just to clarify, as I recall from the ARPA discussion, I thought you were saying that our current system is MapGeo, correct?
MapGeo.
And I thought you were saying that the whole point of doing this was to get rid of MapGeo because it's so cumbersome to use.
Part of the funds we're asking for is
Yeah.
to switch from MapGeo to CAI.
Exactly, yeah,
That's
that's what I thought you said.
separate from the NearMap. NearMap is a totally different program. It's another layer.
Right.
That's the one, so the switching to CAI mapping, we're just asking for the 1 year to get us set up
But
with
just to
them.
clarify, though, this is just generally for GIS mapping and database upgrades, so it covers both of them.
Right. It
Okay.
includes both things, the NearMap and the switching from MapGeo to
Right, that's what I thought,
CAI.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, we were doing both, okay, good.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed?
Just want to make a comment.
Additional information tonight, I thought we were replacing it, so. I'm
Okay.
opposed.
The vote is 7-1. Council Marquetti against, Councilor Ryan absent.
Just want to make a comment, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Adams.
Just want to say thank Rachel for all the hard work you've been doing. We see it, and I just want you to know that we identify and see it, not only with this, but some of the other things that you've been stepping up from the curbside and a few other things. So I appreciate you and your team doing all that. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Very good. Item number 27, vote to approve $50,000 in ARPA funds for the installation and construction of the new senior center generator, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unanimous fall at the ARPA meeting. This came to us early on when we took over the ARPA funds to bring to the town council. The fire department already received the grant for the generator stuff that will go to the community center over there. They're asking for the build out of it to make sure it's housed properly and stuff like that. They've worked with the DPW as well. This will cover the cost of that. And we know during the pandemic how much we needed that community center when we set up the vaccination site and all the things that we realized we had to upgrade in that area. So we're looking forward to that down the road. But I do know Mr. Edwards is here to discuss even further if you have any further questions.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So you said at the subcommittee meeting that we are going to have to find an electrician because the school will not supply us with electrician?
Yes.
And did you find out why they will not supply us with electrician?
That was, that conversation was outside my privy. I don't know the reason. The fire chief was speaking to the school department about that, but I was not brought in on that.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Firefighter Edwards. Item number 28, vote to approve $250,000 in ARPA funds for the reconstruction of the Bridge of Faith Youth Center located on Charlton Street, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Montigny, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was voted on. It was a 1-1-1 vote at the ARPA meeting the other evening or the other day. But I will say that Reverend Carrasco had brought a presentation here just a few meetings ago. It was a great presentation. I'm completely in favor of this youth center going in our town. It's only going to better that area. This is part of ARPA funds that we can support and help out as we've done other not-for-profit organizations. I do know there were some concerns at the presentation, or questions I should say, at the presentations and at the ARPA meeting about faith-based and all that kind of stuff. It's open to everybody in our community. It's a safe spot for our youngsters. It's a teaching tool. We have teachers from Southbridge coming in. The receiver is working with them to bus individuals over. I mean, to me, you can't go wrong with this whole issue. This recommendation, again, it's going to completely redevelop that area over there, which I'm looking forward to as well, especially for a not-for-profit to do that. So I appreciate that, Reverend Carrasco. Thank you, and your team.
Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to kind of add to that, and I appreciate that you brought up the concerns being faith-based. I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of history. On June 6th, there was $250,000 unanimously approved and appropriated from this council, everyone sitting here except myself and Councilor Rivas, of course, for faith-based organizations, unanimous. Two $50,000 votes were taken for the YMCA, and if you go to our YMCA's website and click on About and click Mission, it says to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. So they are a Christian organization that was unanimously voted by everyone here. Furthermore, the item before that was vote to approve providing the United Way of South Central Massachusetts with up to $150,000 paid through local ARPA funds to administratively support Southbridge programs that support strictly Southbridge residents such as Open Sky, St. Luke's House, and Catholic Charities, and distribution of funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator. And it says in the minutes here that Councilor Adams actually thanked Councilor Steves and Town Manager McCall for their support and advice on, again, unanimously approving $250,000 for a faith-based organization. So while I hope that the oversight is there and that all children will be welcome, and I do believe that they will, I would like to ask the council to support this as they did the same amount of money for faith-based organizations on June 6th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My main concern about this one was that we have about $1 million left in the ARPA funds, and I would like us to reserve what's left for some of the big items that are coming forward. The residents are strapped right now by taxes, and we have curbside garbage collection, we have a fire station that we have to fund, and that is my main concern about using what's left of ARPA for what the whole town needs. I would like to reserve what's left. I wasn't so concerned about the faith-based situation. Certainly, this is, unless he's holding church services there, it's a 501(c) or something like that. So certainly they are entitled to public funding for something like that, but they are also subject to zoning laws, and I know that entire area is a flood zone. And I have asked, because Eric Rumsey came to the meeting and said that the planning board is completely in favor of this, so I did ask him for the documentation on that, and I've yet to see any of it. So they are subject to that. I would like to see the funds reserved for what we need in this town so that the residents aren't hit so bad by taxes. And then also, I know that the ARPA committee did make a rule, Southbridge residents only. So those are my only concerns. Didn't really have too much concern about the faith-based situation. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Rivas?
Yeah, so I was one of the people at the last presentation that I was expressing some concern. I'm not concerned that it's a faith-based organization. I just want to know sort of what kind of oversight. I was concerned about the Crisis Pregnancy Center being an affiliate and providing instruction. I'm very familiar with crisis pregnancy centers and their overtly religious instruction to students that go there and to young people. And so I would want to know about the oversight that we would have to ensure that our students or that young people are not getting religious instruction with ARPA money. And secondly, just to kind of see what kind of a plan there would be. You know, the YMCA, students of all, you know, all types of students go there. And, you know, a transgender student asking, you know, or utilizing the bathroom of their choice. I've never heard any problems during teen night or any other time. You know, I just want to know if that would mimic the same approach. How would we have oversight to make sure that students were not being pressured or being getting religious instruction from this crisis pregnancy center? Those are just my concerns.
Would you like to address?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councilor Rivas. This funding, $250,000, is solely for the reconstruction of what is being established. None of these ARPA funds that we are voting on tonight are going to be used for programming. Again, I know that is a major concern that you have. In regards to me saying that I'm going to mimic or replicate someone else's nonprofit organization, I can't make that promise to you, and I can't make, what I can tell you as the president of the Bridge of Faith Youth Center board, okay, we still have not hired a director. We have not hired the staff that's going to oversee this, because this is at the beginning stages, right? This is phase one of what we presented to this town council and the town comment, the total town of Southbridge. So I can't answer those future questions, but what I can tell you that at every event that I've ever been a part of, which you have been a part of some of those meetings and breakfasts, everyone's welcome. I do not exclude anyone. We might not agree with certain things, but I witnessed that today in this town council meeting. I witnessed it for 5 years while I sat on that council. I completely understand that we all have our differences. We might not agree with decisions, but I can tell you right now that the item that's being presented is not for programming. It is for reconstruction. We have given you complete estimates of the programs, and according to Councilor Adams, you know, the funding mechanism will be distributed through the town. So we will be submitting all the receipts that the town is going to request. So that is the oversight in regards to how these funds will be distributed. So these $250,000 are going to be distributed strictly for phase one of the reconstruction. of this project. We are not using not a dime, not a penny, not a dollar for any programming.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Ryan, then Councilor Steves.
Carrasco, you did a great presentation. I had a little hesitation. I talked to Councilor Adams on the oversight and accountability of the money. I am totally satisfied. As far as program, I think that's a debate for maybe down the line if somebody wants to debate the issues of what bathrooms you use. Valid points. We have people that don't want certain things and people want things. But that's America. That's where we differ. And respectfully, if you disagree, just as long as it doesn't get personal, it's all good. So as far as I'm concerned, we're talking about brick and mortar. We're talking about a building, an old aging building. We're talking about a gymnasium, a new beginning. And my biggest concern was, as long as it's for all kids in Southbridge. You know me, I'm a Southbridge guy through and through. I am supporting you here tonight because you too are a Southbridge guy. You're going to promote a Southbridge facility in a part of the town that needs a facelift. Won't hurt the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just want to thank Councilor Rivas for her line of questions because it made me supportive of this tonight. I firmly believe that public funds should not go towards religious education. Period. End of story. It's public funds. I don't believe in that. However, if this is going towards brick and mortar support for the building and to help provide a center so that way everybody in this community can have access to it, that I support. So with that clarification from you tonight, Reverend Carrasco, I will support this. Thank you.
Councilor Steves.
Thank you. I know we talked about the funding element of it at the ARPA meeting a bit. I just want to clarify, how far will this $250,000 actually go into the project? How much do you actually need to complete the project, and how much of that other funding do you currently have on hand?
I'm going to respectfully answer your question. The second portion of the question, I'm not going to answer because I'm not going to put our organization's financials out there. I think that's kind of pushing it. But what I will tell you is that this is a $2.3 million project, complete. Okay, and that's the longer we wait, the longer prices, the higher prices go up.
That is
right true. Now, we're looking at different options for this gymnasium. Okay, we can look at steel. We can look at a prefab building. Prefab building might be cheaper, but it might delay delivery because of all these variables out there. So the whole project in itself is a $2.3 million project, in which is an estimated portion. This is where we got to believe the experts, right? We have a team of architects, engineers, construction guys that constantly are advising us as a board and saying, this is what you should be doing, this is where we're going, this is how it's going to be done. I can tell you right now that just to make this compliant, one quote, one quote, elevator lift, $52,000.
Oh, they're expensive, no question.
So that's where this money is going, is to prepare to be able to, estimate timeline, my goal, and trust me, my board is telling me, you're very ambitious, Carrasco, because I'm not Reverend. When I sit at that table, I'm Esteban Carrasco, the president of a youth center board. And this is where I want you to understand, all of us, even our community, this is not a church. This is a faith-based organization, nonprofit organization, 501c3. So when I sit at that table with them, they look at me and say, one of them looks at me and say, hey, Esty, slow it down. Because I want to open the doors yesterday. Because the longer we wait, the more kids fall through the cracks. And if I can get one kid, I had the privilege of running the youth center on Main Street. I had 30 kids in there every day from all walks of life, all types of kids. And I can tell you that seeing one of them today work as a nurse at the nursing home on Chapin Street. When she first came in as a sixth grader with failing grades, and now today she's a nurse, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So to answer your question, my goal, September, get that first phase as we presented last week, get multi-use rooms up and ready so we can bring in the tutors, we can bring in some type of programming. What it will be at this phase, I can't tell you. Because again, a lot of that programming will come with the second phase, which is the big gymnasium.
So are you figuring that this $250,000 will actually renovate the building that currently exists?
That is the goal. That is the goal. Give or take, maybe another 100,000. Because if you see the proposal that we gave to you,
Right.
it's about, the first phase is almost about 300,000.
Okay.
This is 250.
Right.
So we have some money set aside, but the longer we wait, we don't know,
Yes, I know that. That's true.
what prices are going to go up. And the big part of this is we want to also get the recording studio and the video studio up when we open the multi-purpose rooms at the same time.
Mhm. Okay,
All set?
for the moment.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? I'm sorry, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I want to thank you for thinking about Southbridge, regardless if it's a non-profit or profit. I don't think either if it's support by church, I don't think any church anywhere in the world will close the door for any kids, regardless what kind of religion, what's from, what colors. I think the church opens the door for everyone. Thank you for improving Thomas Street. It needs to be improved the way the area is. Looking to get more money to actually improve the town. We can't just only look for what specific you're doing. We're looking at the general, the whole town, what it's getting. Improving property, cleaning the street, get the kids there. I was in a meeting a couple of months ago. I guess the Kids in Cup, they're going to be training there. I think those part of the town too. The kids live in town. It's not like we're looking to get money and bring kids from Boston or New York, or actually all the kids of Southbridge getting the benefits off of it. I'm sure you're not going to close the door or kick anyone, regardless, again, if it's what color, what religion, what he speak. And
I will stand, and if somebody wants to swear me in, if we want to call in Maddie or whoever, I will say it for maybe the 100th time in the record. This is a program for the whole community of Southbridge. This is red and white. This is my heart. I graduated from here. There's kids that need this. You know, you might look, oh, Councilor Marchetti, to your point in regards to this is something about the whole town. You might look at this, the kids are 20% of what we see today. But let me tell you, they're 100% of our future. Today, they're 20%. So you might not want to support this today because you might see them as a small portion. But when you flip the page tomorrow, they're 100%. They're going to fill your seats. They're going to sit here and make decisions. And if right now, there's nothing for them. There's very few programs. And the programs that are, they're taxed. They have waiting lists. There's a gap that needs to be filled. So it's for everyone.
thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Steves.
I definitely agree that there's a gap that needs to be filled. I would feel much more comfortable with this funding going to programs that we know exist, like in the Recreation Department and the schools, on other publicly existing programs that have a lot of stability that we know have been around for a very long time. And to go back to what Councilor Montigny mentioned about a couple of those organizations, among those things, those are organizations that have a long track record, very much so. And they're nominally religious, but in practice they're not very, in terms of what they actually do. And that was one of the reasons why I had no problem with supporting them because of their track record. I am still very concerned about where this is going. I understand that you're asking for the funds for brick and mortar stuff. I understand that. But I'm also looking forward to, although you are correct that the 20% will become all of the adults in our, will make up the adults in our community going forward. I completely agree with that. That is true. And hopefully some of them do replace us up here.
They will.
Preferably sooner rather than
They
later.
will. It's not some of them, they will.
It's necessary. I completely agree. Yeah, I still have a problem with this.
Very good. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for you. I think I don't know if I should call you.
Mr. Carrasco.
What he's doing today, I think the town should do.
I agree.
I think we're missing that. And I don't think the town is never going to do that for the kids in Southbridge. The way everything is going, I think we should support the gentleman and anybody come forward like him, improving property, giving some back to the Southbridge kid, looking forward for the town of Southbridge and the kids. Because right now, you see the kid either on game, sitting home, or doing things, nobody guide him to be raised correctly, again, doing the right thing. What they're missing, people like him. This is my opinion. I came from a long way, and I've been in town 25 years. And I deal with the public every day. I see things, and I think what he's doing is a great idea, and that's what the town needs. And I want to thank you, and I'm sure the future will show your honestly. Thank you.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you very much. Just to one of the previous speakers' comments about being established organizations. Well, you know, we have a chance here tonight to create one that 10, 15 years down the road from now could be an established organization. And sometimes it's good to support things that already exist that do good, and sometimes it's time to help create something nice for the youth and the future of this town. So I'm still supporting it. Thank you.
Councilor Adams, then Councilor Lazo.
Move the question.
Second.
We have a motion to move the question and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 8-1 to move the question. Very good. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Item number 28, vote to approve $250,000 in ARPA funds for the reconstruction of the Bridge of Faith Youth Center located on Charlton Street, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
Roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Roll call vote.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves? No. Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Very good. The yeses have it. The motion passes.
Thank you. There'll be updates.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you. Just Reverend Carrasco and the rest of his staff. Appreciate you guys bringing this up here. I know it's a long wait and stuff like that, but I do appreciate, I know it's just not you, it's your team. So appreciate that too as well.
Very good. Item number 29, vote to accept, I'm sorry.
Just want to add in here just the ARPA. I know we got to move along. I just want to state after the approval of all these, we have 14% of ARPA funds remaining that have not been earmarked. We have spent, we have about $710,000 left in the account that we, again, we're going to be bringing some of this funds back from premium pay. But I do know that like Curbside has requested $500,000 for the next meeting. So one thing I just want to note is that I don't, when they come to see me, I'm all about broadband, I'm all about helping as far as we can go, but I do have a lot of people approaching the ARPA committee and saying, hey, I want you to put this on the agenda, I want you to talk about it. I'm not going to do, I want you to come put it on the spreadsheet, you to come in and talk about it, you to come in and do the homework, and let the ARPA committee make its decision from that point on, and the town council. So thank you very much, and again, about $710,000 left. Some money will be coming back, though.
Very good. Okay, item number 29, vote to accept the emergency closing for severe weather policy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Steves.
We recommended that unanimously. It's simply an extension of the existing policy, kind of putting it in more concrete form. The town has basically been doing it for years.
Very good. Any discussion? Councilor Marquetti first.
I'll yield to
All
Councilor
right.
Montigny.
Councilor Montigny.
I just feel that the current policy is fine, and this might be superfluous, so I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
I was just curious why we need this policy. If Adriana wants to speak to it, that's fine.
I'd be happy to, if you'd like.
All right.
Certainly, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
well, what actually happened was, a few weeks ago, I think it was on a Monday night too, we had a storm coming on Tuesday, and the question came, what are we going to do about the town hall? So I asked the question, do we have a policy? And the answer I got was, no, we didn't. So anyway, we decided to have a delayed opening the next day and went forward. So the next day I dug out a policy that I had, put together in a previous position and said, okay, I'll put this together. Turned it over to Adriana, and Adriana said, well, we actually do have a policy. It's very similar to this. But she did go through it and say, okay, this does clarify some other issues. It's something that she would support to have the policy. So that's why we're bringing it forward. So it is very similar, but it does have more detail in it. And so, we're recommending you accept this. If you choose not to, I'm sure the other policy will work fine, but it just has a little more detail. And I think it clarifies some issues that Adriana didn't feel was clarified in the previous policy.
Very good. How's that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you could have brought the old policy forward, and so we could see the changes, or
Well,
or
that
just
one's already
highlight
adopted,
it or
right?
something.
I'm sorry.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
How's that? Very good. Councilor Lazo.
I just think the town manager has always used common sense. That's why the question was, do we have a policy?
Right.
I think that people with common sense know the storm is coming, what time it's going to be landing, and you always fall on the side of safety first. You're better off having a safe staff instead of sitting there saying, let's take a chance for what? You think the public's going to come racing in tomorrow while there's a foot of snow on the ground? I don't see it. Thanks.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilor Rivas.
I will be in support of the policy. I think having more detail is always preferable, so that it's clear to staff. And the staff that was at our subcommittee meeting didn't express any concern with the policy. So I think just for clarification, I think that's preferable.
Very good. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would probably say no on this at the very beginning, but we already have a policy in place, and some of the policies that we do look at, actually, I was just looking at some of the policies that we do have, and they're outdated. If you look at even the rules and regulations of the employees, they're outdated. We need to adjust fire where adjust fire is needed. So sometimes when the policy's already in place. I mean, if the things change, they change a little bit, I don't have a problem with just voting for this in favor of and moving forward with it. I don't, I think it's just, I think that's common sense. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. I think the previous speaker just hit the nail on the head that it's really not needed. And at the beginning, it was all, do we have a policy? And we do have one. And there's never been a problem in the past with closing, and there wasn't a problem with closing a couple weeks ago either. So I'm just not going to support it, but thank you.
Let me clarify to my previous friend over here.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to, when I say common sense, looking at policies and changing policies where they need to be changed.
Does it need to?
That's all.
It
That's
needs
all.
to?
Obviously, by our staff, I support them. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Councilor Marquetti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Montigny?
No.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves? Yes. Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
No.
Councilor Lazo?
No.
6 yes, 3 no.
Motion passes. Item number 30, vote to accept proposed changes to the senior work-off program.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Steves.
We also recommended that unanimously. It's simply a matter of the program has existed for years. It was simply to bring up the pay scale to actual minimum wage now and to make a couple of minor changes so that the people who are actually getting the money are getting more of it. It's $975 a year now instead of $600 for 65 hours. So that'll help people, I think, a little bit more than we have.
Okay. Would you like to address?
I don't know, did everyone see the handout that I had presented to the subcommittee? I think it pretty clearly explains it, so if I guess just any questions, if anyone has any?
Okay. Any questions? Councilor Marquetti.
You might want to explain it just so anybody's watching from home.
I can
they
totally
might
do
want to
that.
know what this is about.
All right, so we have the senior work-off program, which was implemented in 1995, and originally it was $500 for 100 hours, which was equated to $5 an hour. 10 years ago, we had an increase in funding for that program, so it was $600 an annual rebate for their tax payment, which equated to $9.23 per hour. And as you know, we are now at $15 for minimum wage, and we are required to pay these workers, volunteer workers, at the minimum wage. So in order to do that, we proposed increasing their wage to $9.75, or I should say, it's not a wage because they don't get paid cash, they get a credit on their taxes. $9.75, which would equate to $15 per hour, so they would stay at the 65 hours of current work that they're doing, which we felt was really necessary because as departments, we become dependent on our senior workers. I know I've got senior workers, and I've spoken to many other departments, and we need them. We wish that we had them more. So we didn't want to change that. We did reduce the number of approved workers from 40 to 35, which will not impact any of our current seniors who have been volunteering because we've to date maintained below 35. We also made some proposed changes to the deductions. Currently they were taking OBRA out of the funding because the federal government does not recognize this as a volunteer program, which is why we kind of have to classify it under working. So what many communities do is the original intended program was for them to get a flat abatement on their taxes. So that $9.75 would be a flat abatement. We would cover in our overlay account the small amount of Medicare or Medicaid that comes out, I believe it is, which is going to be about $1,500, give or take, more likely on the less side, I believe. I was looking at what our deductions are currently. So then they would get their actual original intended abatement amount on their taxes for the work they provide to the community here. Impact overall to the community for funding would be about $11,625.
Okay. Councilors? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all
Good
present.
job again. Thank you.
I'm going to stay here because I think I'm the next one.
Okay.
Yep.
Item number 31, vote to not purchase ownership of two parcels known as Lot 1 and Lot 2A, Howard Farm Road, under the town's right of first refusal.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Steves.
We recommended that unanimously. They're building lots over in Howard Farm, and they're already being built on. And quite frankly, this is another circumstance where so frequently we see these 61A projects come forward to us after something has already happened, and that really drives me nuts. It's supposed to come to us first. I understand why they kind of get forgotten, especially the little tiny plots, but it's not supposed to happen like this.
Councilor Adams.
So Councilor Steve, to Councilor Steve, I truly believe you. So what happens if we sat here and took it?
Huh?
And they started working on it over there?
We have every right to take it right now if we wanted to. Per the law,
Don't want it.
we would have to pay fair cash value, would have to have an appraisal done, We'd have to consider the value of the property with the house now built on it. But yeah, we could totally take
We
it.
shouldn't have to do that.
They messed up. It's their obligation to come to us before the sale. They sign paperwork every year when they reapply.
So they receive an update, they receive a reminder every single time? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, how much that property
Not
is
only
worth.
that, there's a lien on the property. So we have, at the assessor's office, we place a lien on the property when it goes into this tax program, because they're saving significantly on their taxes for these agricultural programs. So in order for us to make sure that when the sale happens, this doesn't happen, the lien is supposed to be discovered before the closing. But this, I believe, was a cash sale, so there was no title search done. But yeah, the town could, I don't think we want a building lot with a house on it, but
No, we don't.
by law, we could take it.
Okay, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, to you. No permit wasn't pulled when they built the houses?
A permit was pulled for the houses, but before the property even sold to the builder is when this should have been addressed.
Should have been done years ago.
Like long before this point.
I know, but when you pull a permit, isn't it, you go first to the tax collector and you make sure everything in the proper, whatever the tax or what they own or
They're
doesn't
only
own.
looking
If-
for
if it's
back
le-
taxes.
And if it's legal to build on it, whatever, before they come back to the town building commissioner to issue the permit?
So unfortunately, the process is a little off. Well, it's not perfect because we're dependent on the owner of the property has to tell us. We don't know until it's recorded. There's no way for me to know. So it's still not going to solve this problem, but the building department now is I'm going to sign off on all raw land improvements. So anything, I said, if it's a shed, if it's commercial, I want to sign off on it. So I can look and see, is it in chapter? We can catch it before the house is built,
That makes sense.
at least.
Yeah.
I can't control them selling. There's just no way to do that. It's impossible.
I understand. No, I agree with you, but it is error somewhere. I'm not sure, when anybody come to pull a permit, usually they make sure they don't own tax, if they're properly zoning, if they're properly in the zoning.
Right, but that doesn't catch this
No.
particular thing. That's back tax, the back taxes haven't been calculated because I don't calculate those until I'm notified that they're withdrawing.
Right.
So the collectors wouldn't know about this.
Can I ask why the town have a lien on it?
It's a lien for the program, so when they withdraw, they have to pay 5 years back taxes.
Yeah.
So it guarantees that we're able to collect our 5
So right now, we're
years.
gonna vote no to waive all that? The
So
5
right now, we're
years
going to
back
vote
taxes and all
no that you don't want to seize the property, or buy the property,
Yeah.
basically, not seize it.
Yeah.
So you're voting no on that tonight, so I've already calculated the back taxes, and the current owner, or whomever, is going to have to pay those in order to move on.
So they agree to pay the,
They have no
They have no
choice.
choice.
Yeah.
so
We
if
won't
vote-
release the lien, they won't be able to sell the house.
If we vote yes on
Houses are half
the
built.
agenda, you don't release anything to the way it came and paid, what?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Council Lazo.
61A land, Southbridge High School was built on the Belrose Farm with 61A land. As an example, the town of Southbridge exercised its right to stop 68 houses from being built in there near the landfill. This property, if you are involving a bank, you have to have a clear title. If you buy a piece of property cash, you don't have a clear title, you own the problems, you own the 61A land.
Right.
It's not illegal. But the thing is, if they bought the land cash, they own it. They started building a house on the land they own. And then when they went to the bank, you find out you gotta go for clear title, and all of a sudden there's 61A land.
Yep.
The question in front of us tonight, is that land have any value to the town of Southbridge where we should purchase? It's a small corner lot that is not near our property. It is not to be utilized for any public use. So in the best interest of going forward, we would vote to, in other words, pull the deed, clear it, the 61A. He's going to have to clean it up. I didn't understand how that whole subdivision was on a 61A, and these two lots they missed.
Yeah,
But I think the way it's set up, it's designed for the purchaser to play the 61A fee of the differential between what the value is and what the 61A tax break was. So going forward, I mean, tonight I'm voting to clear it, but this happens, I've seen this happen before on small parcels. But if a big parcel like the 61A land on Southbridge High School, the bank went in to finance 68 houses. We didn't want them, town bought it. We put a high school there. It was in the best interest of the town to purchase that 61A and exercise our right. Tonight, I don't think it's worth exercising right. I mean, your recommendation would, going forward.
It's the same thing as we're saying, but that's not.
All set? Okay. Council Steves.
Yeah, I just want to say, I totally agree with you there, Scott. I don't want the property. I just don't want to keep seeing this happen over and over again. I mean, there's got to be some way where we can get a list of the 61A properties from the state so that we make sure that they should be.
I manage them, so there's no way for me to force an owner of a property to do anything. I can't, if you're going to sell your house tomorrow, I can't stand there and watch you make an agreement between it's a private sale.
Yeah.
That's why the lien is in place, so it protects the town so we can at least collect our taxes.
No,
They have an obligation, they sign, they sign the acknowledgement, understanding the program, but there's no way for me to capture it unless I catch wind that they're going to sell, but that doesn't happen.
Well, that's true, I guess. Yeah. It's a communication problem, among other things.
Anyone else?
I'm not blaming you.
I'm sorry. Councilor Marquetti.
Just a clarification, usually motions aren't in the negative, you don't vote not to do something, so maybe it should have been worded a little differently. but-
You beat me to the punch.
All right.
Any other discussion before I look for an amendment? Council Lazo.
The amendment should read, we are voting to refuse the 61A option on behalf of the town.
Second that amendment.
Before,
Yeah, a better way, if I may, maybe just to say to not exercise our right of first
Right.
refusal.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
all right, so the town manager is suggesting that we have a motion of vote to not exercise our right of first refusal of two parcels known as Lot 1 and Lot 2A, Harwood Farm Road, under the town's right of first refusal.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend by Councilor Lazo and Councilor Ryan. Any discussion on the amendment?
So this would be a yes vote. I mean, when we get beyond the amendment.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Unanimous of all present for the amendment. Again, the amended motion now reads, vote to not exercise our right of first refusal of two parcels known as Lot 1 and Lot 2A, Harwood Farm Road, under the town's right of first refusal.
It ends up being the
It's the
same
same
thing.
thing, really.
Okay, well,
All right,
it's a little more clear, I think,
Okay.
and it makes an affirmative vote,
All
which
right.
is what
It
we're
still would have
looking
been an
for.
affirmative vote.
So a yes vote means we exercise our right
No, a
not
yes vote
to
means we're
purchase the
not
property.
doing it.
To not
Yeah,
do it,
we're
right.
not doing it.
all right.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All right, so I assume you're asking for
A yes
a
vote.
yes vote?
Yes.
Okay, any
It
further
really should be
discussion?
phrased to exit.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Easy peasy.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, for the clarification. Item number 32, vote to approve amendment to Standard Operating Procedure Number 15, Capital Expenditure Policy, Capital Expenditure Defined. Original language, any items or goods of $10,000 or more and with an intended useful life of 3 years or more, regardless of funding source. The amendment would be any items or goods of $10,000 or more and with an intended useful life of 5 years or more, regardless of funding source.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council Steves, second by Council Marquetti. Council Steves.
We recommended that unanimously. It's just common sense at this point.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Council's Forum, item number 33. Council Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to report on the curbside update. We met on March 2nd. We had a representative from Waste Zero to talk to us about the pay-as-you-throw bag program. He answered the questions. He made a really good presentation. A survey, we are getting updated on the survey, and it seems that most of the residents who are returning them, their number one choice is a pay-as-you-throw bag program. Taxes and fees are pretty much split evenly. We are waiting on the RFP. The RFP was sent out, as the manager said. We're waiting on that to come back, pre-proposal meeting. The three companies that have applied so far, Casella, Waste Management, and Republic. Proposals are due this Thursday, March 16th. The contract will be awarded by April 4th, hopefully. We will be at the Senior Center Wednesday, March 15th at 10 a.m., and the Downtown Partnership, March 22nd, 5:30, at Fins and Tails to talk about the curbside proposals. Our next meeting is this Thursday at 6 p.m. in the Veterans Room. We'll be going through the RFP and possibly taking a draft vote. And Mr. Town Manager, I would ask that when you do get the RFP, if you could give an advance copy to Irene Congdon, because she is trying to work on the numbers right now, and so we get a better understanding, we can have a more complete cost analysis done if we had the actual numbers, if you wouldn't mind.
Can I respond? Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. The way the RFP is written, we're going to be getting unpriced proposals, and so we'll be reviewing those and rating them based on the criteria that's in the RFP. So we actually won't be opening up the price proposal until we've ranked them and decided on the first person we want to negotiate with. And so it isn't something that we'll have a number available until we conclude the negotiations with the preferred, vendor. So I will try to get the information to her as soon as I can, but it won't be when we open up bids or anything like that, because we won't just have prices. It's going to be a process, and we're hoping to have the whole process completed by that date in April that you mentioned.
Okay, thank you. We'll be voting on hiring a consultant, using a grant to hire a consultant to do a cost analysis, and we'll also be having a billing presentation from Francine in the assessor's office. So that's this Thursday, March 16th. Thank you. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Councilor Adams?
Just to Councilor Marquetti on the voting to hire a consultant?
We're voting to apply for a grant so that we can hire a consultant through Ms. Dean's office. I did contact the Massachusetts Department of Local Services and asked for their help because we lost a town manager and we lost a finance director all at once, and we really have no one, no disrespect to you, Charlie. I know you're busy with the budget, but we really didn't have anybody to do a cost analysis in case we do want to go with an enterprise fund. It's not decided what we're going to go with yet, but we need someone to look with the whole thing, the whole program, billing, costs, liabilities, everything, and we really don't have anybody. So they said, Mass Department of Local Services said if you apply for this grant, and they gave us a specific grant, apply for this grant and we will provide you with a consultant who can do the work.
Now, do you need to, just to follow up, do you need to bring that to the council?
I would think we would.
Okay.
I thought about it afterward. I probably should have just brought it up here tonight, but it's on this Thursday anyway. So.
Okay, very well,
Yep.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
All set, Councilor?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
I just want to, clarify. I believe that, Councilor Marquetti, you're applying for a community compact grant, right? Through Sean Cranen. So there is a process, but you do, I think the council does need to approve that.
That's
but
right. Okay.
PEG is planning on applying for that, with your approval.
Very good. Councilor Montigny?
I don't have any comments tonight, thank you.
Very good. Councilor Lazo?
I would just like to comment that the paper is going around for the 61A land, all councilors can sign it. I have one item. What I'm going to be doing as a citizen and town councilor is circulating a petition, if I may read it. Petition for non-binding public opinion advisory. We, the undersigned registered voters of the town of Southbridge, hereby bring forth a non-binding measure by submitting such initiative petition question before the town council, Southbridge Town Council, to place this question on the ballot at the upcoming June 2023 local election. The question will read as follows. Shall the elected officials of the state of Massachusetts end the receivership in the Southbridge Public School District and return it the control of the district to the town of Southbridge? The reason why I feel strong about this, and there is a rationale that gives the history of where we were, where we've been, and where we're going, and we need 600 signatures to bring it in front of the council. The council would have to vote on it, but I want citizens to know that what we're going to be doing, I did team up with one gentleman. We did this together, former town councilor and school committee member David Smick, who has served on many boards and commissions and was well-versed on the charter. His phone number is 508-320-5227. Feel free to call Dave or myself, Scott Lazo, at 508-208-7708. What we're going to be doing is gathering the groups in town, the boards and commissions, the school committee I'll be going in front of, various stores. We're going to have a drive to get 600 signatures in front of the council by the 30th. So I really appreciate any help, any signatures. Please call us. We're going to be working on some posters and stuff like that to be at stores. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Councilor Rivas.
Yes, so I have a couple announcements. I wanted to make parents and caregivers aware of the Southbridge Family Resource Center of UInc and Seven Hills is starting a program on March 22nd. It is a workshop series called Attends. It will discuss absenteeism and truancy and just kind of helping parents to troubleshoot, have parents and caregivers that have difficulties with students getting to school. I think it's a really important program for parents who are struggling. It is a collaboration with the Tri-Community YMCA, and I think it's a great program that they're offering. It will be held on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6 for a series of 4 workshops. I also wanted to let everyone know we completed our first episode of Youth Voices with Councilor Rivas, and our students gave us some incredible insight into what they are looking for in a new town manager. So I encourage all of our counselors here to watch the show. I will be utilizing some of the questions that the students came up with. They also had a variety of things that they talked about during the youth forum, which we mimicked from the counselors forum, from the smell at Big Y to a multitude of issues that the students are concerned about in town. So please watch our show. It should be on, should air pretty soon. And our next episode will be our students reviewing one of the food trucks in town, while another group of students is cooking with some chefs. So stay tuned.
All set?
Yes.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. 2 things. One, I just wanted to announce to everybody that the Southbridge School Committee has rescheduled their budget hearing. It will be on March 28th, which is 2 weeks later than originally anticipated. I urge everyone to be there. I will be there. I think it's really important that we continue to be engaged, even though we are in receivership currently, with the budget process and making sure we understand how our money's being spent in our schools. And finally, Councilor Lazo, get me that paperwork. I'll sign it. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick things. One is I just wanted to point out that on Wednesday, I'm actually surprised Councilor McKetty didn't mention this, at 10 a.m. He's going to be doing a quick summary of what's going on with the trash situation at the senior center. So anybody who has some questions can show up down there and ask them. Of course, you can come to the meetings too and ask questions there. Also at 6:45 on Wednesday, we are holding a joint public hearing with the planning board up here to do some zoning changes for sections 5, 9.1, and 10. So if you have questions about zoning issues, please take a look at the website, see what those sections are, and bring some questions over. We always need some good input for those kinds of things and how we change the town's looks. Also, I was thinking, since the discussion we had earlier about policy, and Dave mentioned some of the things that are outdated, I think it might be time to sit down and kind of review it on GenGov and see if we can maybe take a look at some of our policy books and get rid of some of the old junk. I know some have been going on, say, for example, in Oxford, and they were finding stuff from the 1970s that was really ridiculous. So we probably have some of those too. And also, last but not least, I want to mention that although we've had something like a dozen people take out papers for the town council seats, I think there's only one out for redevelopment authority, and I think there's like one person who's taken, maybe two people who have taken out for school committee. There's also other available seats out there, so please take out papers. The last day to submit papers is the 25th of April, so you do have plenty of time to do it. But we need as many good people, good candidates to run as possible. So please take out papers and put some thought into what you really want to do for the town. Take a look at what we're doing already, have questions. I know Maureen and I and Rich Merrill and the cable people are in the process of trying to coordinate debates for the town elections, since I won't be running again, I figure I can put some time into doing that. And we will be having them up here. We haven't set a date or time yet exactly, because we're still in the process of organizing them. But keep your ears open. We'll be doing something with that too.
Very good, Councilor Steves. Councilor Dow.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Chair Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one item. Today, myself, Ms. Dean, Mr. Norton, and a team from Blue Water, who's building the Amazon plant over in Charlton, and Jonathan, who's the marketing for Amazon. We had a great discussion for about 20 minutes about how Amazon can help us. They're looking at hiring about 1,000 jobs. It was a great discussion. I just wanted to keep everybody abreast as we finally got a hold of them after about 4 months. We had a good discussion today. But it was very interesting to listen to, Mr. Norton, who is trying to bring them into the fold as far as bringing over here, as far as classrooms and stuff like that before they open up, to the point of when they plan on opening, what it looks like, and it was a great conversation had, but there will be much more. We talked about veterans, everything, so it's a great conversation. I appreciate Jonathan from Amazon appeasing us today. Thank you. So, sorry, 34, discussion next meeting date, March 27, 2023 here, 7 p.m. in the dais.
Very good. I'd like to thank Max Gullickson for filling in tonight as recording clerk.
Good old Max.
Good job. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present? We are adjourned.